Adam, we're live.
All right, we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Soscast, episode 24. We got a special show for you guys today. Soscast, all we talk is money. I'm your host, Adam Sosnick. But today, not only we're talking money, we're talking sex, we're talking the adult film industry. And let me tell you about our guest real quick. Before we get into everything, can I do the introduction? And you tell me if I got any of this wrong, okay? So our guest today is an absolute legend, okay? Adult film star, we all know that. 12-time MILF of the Year, I believe. She's been inducted into 3 different Hall of Fames, one of which is not even porn related. Believe it is just film related. Absolute stud. She's been in the adult film industry since the 90s, and here's the most important part, has stayed relevant the entire time. She's an adult film star, she's a director, she's a producer, and she's an author of this little book right here, The Life Back, which we're going to discuss today. To those watching at home, if you're not familiar, I have nothing more to say other than please welcome the lovely, the luscious Lisa Ann to the show.
You brought in the luscious. She did well. I did retire in 2019. I've been covering fantasy sports, football, basketball, baseball since 2013 as well. So, just a couple things. But yeah, the Hall of Fame thing, like, what do you do with these awards? It's not like something that you can
I'm not in the Hall of Fame for anything, so you tell me.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it doesn't, it's a thing, but like it's a tchotchke. It's a tchotchke.
It's a tchotchke.
You sound like my Jewish grandma right now. Is that tchotchke?
I mean, it has no real value. In the real world, where do I go with this thing and say, here, like, this is something amazing. It's something.
I just didn't know you can win a MILF without being a mom.
Ooh,
it's a very strange thing.
Great question.
And when MILF first happened, I remember not knowing what it meant. A kid had said to me, I was working as an agent at the time, and he said to me, you make a great MILF. And I was like, I don't know how I feel, because I think that's supposed to be a mom.
Right.
From Stifler's mom.
That's, I believe how it originated.
It is
correct.
how American Pie.
Yep.
And I was like, but how do I get there? He's like, and it's just your look and this and that. So, but there were companies that would only hire girls that did have kids for like a minute. They were like strict
to keep
on
credibility
it.
to the MILF situation.
Yes.
I doubt anybody's like watching Lisa and, I don't know if she's actually a MILF. She is quite MILFy if you ask me. Anyway, also let's welcome to the show the lovely, I threw the L in, the amazing Amber Joy Lane, the dancing comedian.
Hello.
Amber, welcome back. We all
Thank
know
you.
Amber.
Happy to be here.
Well, Lisa, whether you have kids or not, whether you're a MILF or not, you're gorgeous. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, yeah. I think, let's start. I think what the audience would love to know is, like, Lisa, how did you get started? Where are you from? What kind of person were you in high school before you entered the industry? Let's talk about Lisa, senior year. She's about to graduate. Who were you? What your accomplishments in high school? Take us back to that.
Senior year was also the same senior year as 90210.
Oh.
And I was very bitter that I lived in Pennsylvania. I could not believe how much better everyone's life seemed on television than mine. I knew that I would be living in California in no time. And at 16, I wrote my 3 goals that have been the same 3 goals I've had my entire life. To be financially independent, to travel and see the world, and to make my own schedule. And as I was already stripping in high school with fake ID, I was
Straight
on my
up,
own.
in high school, stripping in high school. And where in Pennsylvania were you?
So I was at that time driving to Philly and like North Jersey, so I could be away from people that I would know or family or anybody, so I couldn't be too close. So I'd drive an hour to an hour and a half,
but
had
like,
fake ID.
Somebody had to have been like, hey, this is a good idea. Do it. Did you have a friend?
I told no one.
No, but
I
how
told
did you
no
just...
one in my... I was illegally also using that ID. I was doing bikini contests, and that was the gateway. It's like marijuana being the gateway to everything. It was
Is that the gateway drug
was
to
the gateway
porn?
because
Wow.
the women all are strippers on the side, and they would say to me like, eventually you're going to run the whole circuit, and then you're going to have all these tanning gift certificates, and like there's like $500 cash, a tanning membership, a bikini from Venus Swimwear. Like you get all this stuff, but they're like, this is going to run out, and I needed a more legit ID to work at these clubs in Philly, and it was a girl that I met at a bikini contest that helped me get an ID, and then I started stripping. And that was it for me. When I started stripping and met the adult film stars that came into the club to feature, I was like, now they really have the jam. They travel to a different city every week. They get paid a salary, whereas when I started dancing, we were getting $25 an hour. And then came the whole girls would work for tips. Then came the whole clubs were charging girls house fees just to work there. And I watched this whole like vicious cycle, like we're getting hustled out of our own game kind of thought. And so I was inspired by those features, and I interviewed them for 2 years at a club.
What do you mean you interviewed them?
Anybody that would talk to me,
Like
I would
informally?
Informally, I would ask them questions like,
Okay.
what do I need to know about the business? How do I get on the box cover? How do I get my name incorporated? How do I make the most money? What things do I not want to do? Who do I not want to work with? So in that 2-year span, they gave me mailing addresses of different people, Hustler, Metro, Calvis, all the different companies that were producing VHS back then. And I started having photos shot, and I would mail
VHS.
them
Right.
to
This
the
was
companies.
before you could Google anything.
Anything. They would give me an
this is way
address and be
before
like,
internet porn.
here, write to this woman. She's Larry Flint's assistant. Send her photos. And so I would write, and they would write me back. Or we would do a long distance phone call, which back then was like a calling card. It was like, you know, it was a whole hassle. And it took me 2 years. And then finally through one of the girls that I was interviewing every 6 months when she came to the club, she introduced me to a guy who helped the right girls get contracts. I knew by the time I was 20 that I didn't want to get in the business and just shoot scenes. I wanted to be a contract girl because you got a salary, you got, you know, carte blanche at all the events, you got all the best promotional materials for feature dance gigs, posters, merch, t-shirts, what have you. And I knew that my main goal was really to be on the road and seeing the world. It wasn't really just to be shooting scenes. So by being a contract girl, you only shoot one movie a month. So you can shoot those all over the summer and then go out on the road for the rest of the year if you want to. I had this great flexibility. I had this whole concept. So
Wait, were there celebrities back then at this time in that industry? Like names that
Who
people
were the
knew?
big names when you
the
were
big
first getting
names
started?
when I was first getting in was Savannah, Diana Loren, Nikki Dial, Raquel Darian, Janine, Julia Ann. There were a lot of beautiful Vivid girls. Everybody remembers the Vivid girls. Christy Canyon, who I met at 18 and we're still friends today. So many of these women that like remembered me knocking on their dressing room door and saying, hey, do you have a couple minutes tonight for me to ask you a couple more questions? And I had this like ongoing notebook. And I also studied the money that came into the club. I could see the girls that weren't on the box cover, that did more aggressive scenes, the girls that did anal, they didn't bring in the same clientele. So they weren't making as big. I could see the difference between the blue collar and between the suits. So I was able to.
You mean as far as clientele in the club?
Yep, and money.
Break that down, because obviously you guys go to the club. They're there to spend some money, have a good time.
Yep.
Break that down. Who, like, all right, this guy, he's going to spend some money. Don't mess with that guy. He's a loser. This girl's going to go after that guy. Break that down with the money and in the club. You're talking about strip clubs right now, right?
Yes, strip club.
Break
At this
down the
point,
money
where are you, by
situation.
the way? And still in Jersey?
I'm in Reading, Pennsylvania at Al's Diamond Cabaret. And Al's Diamond Cabaret was my first nude bar, and it was BYOB. So when you're talking about the classes of money, the blue collar guys would carry in a keg and a stack of
BYOB?
BYOB. BYOB, I'm telling you.
How were they? They didn't have liquor licenses.
No liquor license. Because you couldn't be nude in Pennsylvania with liquor, but you could let them bring in their own. So the guys who had more money would bring in bottles and would, you know, pay the waitress to get them a cup of ice and lemons and all the things that they could get. And so you could easily, it was a stark difference. So I was analyzing the whole financial setting of it. I remember Terry Weigel would come in and she did this incredible show, and the suits that would come in for her lunch show, nobody put down ones. So I was like, oh man, she's only making 5, 10s, and 20s. Like there's not even a one in this whole situation. The other girls would come in, it was all ones. So I just surveyed that, and then by the time I was 21, I was starting to make my first trips out to California to start meeting people. I still had like a place in Pennsylvania, wasn't sure.
Are you like on the wall there? Do they recognize you as like?
Yeah, they do. And Al put out a lot of features because he had rules for us. You worked 6 days a week. He was open 6 days a week. And in those,
Sunday's God's Day.
God's
That's
Day.
right.
Not allowed in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Just like you can't buy liquor on Sundays in PA. Can't buy a car on Sundays in PA.
Wait, really? You can't buy a
lot of
car?
Weird things. And he would make you work a 6-day shift. And if you wanted a day off, you had to take a week off. So what you'd do is you'd work 3 weeks and then you'd take a whole week off. He also had an accountant come in and help us with our taxes. He also paid us on a paycheck so that we weren't getting all cash. So he made me a good businesswoman.
This is
at
a
a very
financial
young
show.
age.
At the end of the day, we're talking
Yeah.
about dating, relationships. I know you have pretty, strong opinions on financial stuff, and I know you help a lot of the girls in the industry, which we'll get into. But was this how your financial knowledge kind of started with this guy? What was his name again?
Al.
Shout out to Al,
Big
saving
Al,
that money.
The dude. We all
Yeah.
called him the dude. And he just wasn't going to. Every other club paid you under the table. They didn't even know your real name. They didn't want to know anything about you. They did not want to be responsible for you. For him, because I remember going there with my bad ID and him saying, when you actually are 18, you can come back here and work. So I wasn't going to be able to work there.
Oh, so you didn't work there until you were 18?
18, I started working there. He still made me do amateur night. You got to get up on stage and do this whole amateur show. But yes, he was who really made me think about it and also really put me on a schedule where I could be on the road as a feature entertainer and take 1 week off a month, get all of my personal things done, dentist. Like he would tell you, like you take 1 week off a month, you get all your personal stuff done, and then you work. And the 6-day work week was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You either worked noon to 6 or 6 to 12. And on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, every girl had to work noon to midnight.
I'm still on amateur night. What is amateur night? Is that like an open mic? Like
If you
for the
ever
strippers?
see an amateur night go at a strip club, go. There's still to this day my favorite thing. It's when women that like either want to dance or like their boyfriend wants to see them on a stage just once, or there's all these weird elements.
This is literally the equivalent of all the losers who try an
Yes.
open mic.
These are the
guys.
girls who fall off the pole because they want to give it a
Yes.
shot and then boom.
Yes, and they usually drink beforehand, which you should never do. I
Oh,
never
man.
drank when I danced
Girls
ever.
who strip shouldn't be drinking.
That seems like a
It's
bad combo.
not for me. Like I was smart enough, like young, I would watch the girls and everyone drank and everyone partied and everybody did a ton of drugs when I was in my late teens watching what was going on. Not at Al's. Al did not allow that. But I knew that by midnight, they'd all be so wasted that from midnight to 2, the money in the club was mine. Like that was
So
my
smart.
prime time.
Midnight to 2.
Midnight to 2. Everybody's wasted. They're falling apart. And you know what? It's just not attractive to see a drunk stripper. It's just not. You start to like, posture isn't as good. You're not taking care of yourself. And I just was so young and I was like, I am never, ever going to drink while I'm dancing.
All right. Lisa, are you offended easily?
No.
Do you have any strong opinions on what males' grooming situation should be?
Well, yes. I mean, I think men should groom. I mean, women groom, so why wouldn't men groom? And there's many reasons why men should groom. If you're talking about Manscaped, which is obviously the best way for a man
we're going
to
to talk
groom,
about Manscaped, yes.
it makes it look larger.
Ooh.
There's that.
That's just a simple reason.
I mean, you got a bush and you have a pillar that you want to show off outside your house. You keep that bush trimmed, right?
All right.
You don't just let that bush overgrow the pillar.
All right. Well, speaking of bush and pillar and looking larger, let's give a quick shout out to Manscaped right now. Can we do that real quick? Are you familiar with Manscaped?
I really have no idea what you guys
Well,
are
you're
talking
about to, Amber, okay?
Okay.
Because maybe you could recommend this for some male friends of yours. Let me just pull this over here. Anyway, so we have a new sponsor over here on the Soscast over here, and that is Manscaped. So this support of the Soscast is brought to you by Manscaped. Let me push this over here right quick so we can talk intelligently about what we got going on right now.
Mop.
So we're brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in the men's below the belt grooming. Wink, wink. Okay, so Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. You see what they did there right there? So Manscaped recently launched this package right here. It's the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle. It is called the Performance Package. We all want performance. I mean, if the guy shows up on set, doesn't have performance, it's like, get the hell out of here. What the hell are you
Obviously,
doing?
yeah.
What the hell's going on? Oh, can you grab that, Amber?
That's
Thank
trying to
you.
perform on its own right
That's
there.
what happens when you...
Can I hold on to
No,
this?
no. Pass it over here. I got to use that. So over 4 million men worldwide have used these products, by the way. And right now, you can get 20% off from Manscaped. Exclusive offer from the Soscast. You can get 20% off and worldwide free shipping if you use the code Soscast. That's SOSCAST, Soscast at manscaped.com. And if my math is correct, we're talking about 4 million men. Most men got 2 balls, so that's 8 million balls. Let me see what we got here right here. Okay, so that's just basic math right there. So truth be told, the reason that I started using this product, Lisa, this is kind of embarrassing. So a lot of men have one razor and you use it for your face, like a groomer, use it for your face. And then after you use it for, your man area.
That is not acceptable.
I agree.
Not
Did you say
acceptable.
most men? Are you what?
I agree. And
Statistics
when
are you using there?
These are 80% of the time I'm right every time. What are you talking about, Amber? I actually talked to a buddy over here today. He goes, no, I go bottom up. I go balls, then face. I go, dude, you got it all wrong. Because at least, you go to, anyway. So basically, here's what's going on. Here's what Manscaped, how it will basically alleviate all the drama from your face to your package area right now. So basically, here's what's going on right here. You got the Manscaped trimmer. You got the crop mop, okay? You got the crop preserver, all right? This is what is known as the crop reviver. Crop, we're talking about our stuff over here. Shears. This is cutting everything so you don't mess it all up, right, John? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
They threw in some free boxers. They threw in a free t-shirt. This is the 4th generation trimmer. This is what it's all about right here. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4th generation trimmer, and it's a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce the grooming accidents, which I was basically kind of alluding to. I cut myself and it was a freaking accident. Wasn't pretty. You know, went on a hot date that night. Had to say, let's postpone it because...
Did you postpone the date or did you
No,
postpone
I postponed the after party.
Or did you still not go on the date?
I went on the date. It was
I
a
would
hot
think
girl.
that he would just not
went
go on the date.
No, I
agree.
went on the date. I just, I was like, oh, it's kind of... Anyway, but this is the reason why I will never have to cancel a date ever again, right? So you can also use this in the bathroom. So it's like in the shower. So it's like it's waterproof.
Yep.
You don't have to make a mess. There's nothing less attractive than you walking in and there's like pubic hair on the toilet or on the side. Lisa, don't even get me started right there. So the crop preserver, by the way, and the ball deodorant, I said it. And ball deodorant will change the way you
Ball
approach
deodorant, did
to
you say?
manscaping.
In Florida,
right there.
don't you think that's necessary?
Hello?
It's so humid
What is
here.
happening right here? Anyway, we've been giving a major shout out to Manscaped. I want to give them a major shout out.
Manscaped.
So listen, final thoughts here. If you don't want to have an accident, if you want your stuff to look a little bit bigger, I think Lisa Ann knows a thing or two about looking bigger. Anyway, you get 20% off at manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping if you use the code Soscast, 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 Soscast. Go to manscaped.com. That's 20% off, free shipping. Manscaped, Soscast. What else is there to be said? I will say this. It'll unlock your confidence, and you always use the right tools for the right job with Manscaped. Anyway, shout out to
Very
Manscaped.
nice.
Thank you, guys.
It's about time that guys learn some self-care. I will get a pimple if I just look at a pizza
There
the
you
wrong
go.
way. And
Anyway,
you guys
Lisa-
shave your balls with the same razor you shave your face.
Amber, this is
That's
for you. If
disturbing.
you've got a good buddy, I want you to give him some ball wipes. There it is, right there.
Oh my God, can you imagine me showing up with this?
Anyway.
active pH control. Guys should
Hey,
learn about
anyway,
what that
shout
is.
out to Manscaped. Thank you guys for making us look good. Literally making us look good. Lisa, back to
amazing.
you. You
Back to
said
you.
something which I didn't expect. Because at a young age of 18, you said there's 3 things that I want to accomplish. It's almost like you were like manifesting what you wanted to accomplish. Like I'm a big believer in affirmations. Like I say an affirmation every single day, or when I'm not maybe hungover or something like that. But still, even then in the afternoon. But I say an affirmation every day. But you said there's 3 things you wanted to accomplish. What were those 3 things again?
To be financially independent, to travel and see the world, and make my own schedule.
And you've been able to do that.
Yeah, my whole life.
So break that down. How each of those things have basically manifested in your life.
So, financial independence came early from dancing and then understanding money. That's the next thing. Making money is one thing, but understanding money. Al was a big help for that. Al's Diamond Cabaret, another shout out he gets. Traveling and seeing the world. When I would interview these women, they would be telling me they were going to trade shows in Australia and Germany and Italy and going all over, and everything's paid for by other people. And I'm like, this is just unbelievable. And your schedule is... You tell everybody when you want to work. So in this business, you reach out and you're like, these are when I want to do my shoots. I don't like to shoot in the Valley in August. It's too hot. Like I've always claimed my control of my schedule. So those 3 things were really simple, but I couldn't get them anywhere else unless I went in the adult industry. I just don't think any other career could have put me on that path so young.
Well, would you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
Yes.
A fempreneur? Is that a good
I'm
thing?
an entrepreneur. I've owned
Yeah.
multiple businesses. I bought a day spa right after 9/11 and ran and owned it for 4 years and then sold it to a Medi spa. So I've done a lot of different businesses at a talent agency. I like to build things and then churn them. And I love to sell. Selling a business without anybody knowing it's for sale is like... It's a great accomplishment.
It's a beautiful thing. Well, the reason I asked is because we are the #1 channel for entrepreneurs. If you put entrepreneur into YouTube, boom, Valuetainment pops up. Yeah, we're known for business and business planning and entrepreneurship and even some political stuff and even some money stuff. But at the end of the day, we talk about entrepreneurship. So I know a lot of people out there, maybe there's a lot of fans of Lisa, and maybe there might be some haters. Everyone's got some haters out there. But I know for 100%, everyone who watches Valuetainment will respect the fact that you are an entrepreneur. How does it make you feel that you are an entrepreneur in the porn industry? And what should other ladies in the porn industry understand about entrepreneurship and making money?
I think now that there's so many applications like OnlyFans and Clips for Sale and all the different mediums that talent is using on their own, they realize now they're entrepreneurs. They know they're bosses. You know what I mean? They get it by 23. They have 10 people working for them. They have 3 assistants. They have somebody doing their social media, and they know that everyone's check relies on them. So there is a greater feel of the women and men in the industry being entrepreneurs. It's just not talked about on the outside world because we don't want to look at this business as this is where success could come from. We haven't gotten there yet. To prop up people in the industry is something people have a very hard time doing. And to look at us as successful, it's even when it comes to a little bit of dating, to throw that in there. Like, I find that I meet men all the time that just don't get that I'm successful. They don't get it. They think either a guy gives me money or something. It's like, oh my gosh.
They don't get
like,
that you make your own money.
Right. And that I did the right things with it and that I live, they don't get it. And I think people don't realize how much money is being made in the industry and how easy it is to make it.
Wow. All right. Well, let's talk about the industry. Today, we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about what you do with your money, what recommendations you give to other women and men in the industry with their money. We're going to talk relationships. We're going to talk dating. But let's just dive right into the industry right now. How do most women or even men end up in the porn industry? How does it get started?
It's different now with the internet because it's so easy for somebody to find an agency and upload photos of themselves. There was a time when the internet first started and the industry needed so much talent that agents were actually paying scouts to like go to the mall, to wait outside of high schools, to meet.
Like modeling agencies would do.
Hustle, yeah. And they would tell them like, you want to make 20 grand a month. And of course, every girl's going to get in this random dude's car and like go to the agency. Yes, I want to make 20 grand a month. And they'd show up there. But the longevity is not there when you shoot that many scenes to make 20 grand a month because you kind of get shot out in a very short period of time.
Physically, emotionally, mentally, all the above? What do you mean by shot out very quickly?
You get shot out by the companies. Everybody wants to see somebody new. They don't want to see you do the same thing all the time. You've overdone it in a short span of time, and now everybody's releasing your product. And they're like, oh, we already have 3 scenes of her. So by my theory of shooting 1 movie a month allowed my career to last a lot longer because there was never too much.
Well, what is the typical lifespan of a porn actress? So correct me if I'm wrong. You got a lot of she just turned 18 plus. Then you kind of got like maybe my prime of their career. Then you get into maybe the MILF stage. And then there's like the GILFs, like the Nina Hartleys of the world. They're 60 plus maybe. And so what's a typical lifespan of a porn career?
Kind of like a running back in the NFL, about 3 to 5 years. You know what I mean?
If their knees don't get blown out.
3 to 5 years because
women's knees get blown out in porn for a different reason other than running backs.
If they come in that teen time, like 18, 19 years old, and they're not guided properly, the lifestyle can really catch up with them quickly. So, it's a party scene. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of money coming at them. And then there becomes a lull where they're not a MILF yet. Yeah. They're kind of burned out. So that's why I say 3 to 5 years. If a girl gets into the industry at 27 and she's not that young girl, but she's not really a MILF yet, there could be a stagnant period for her as well. There's some performers like Sarah J. and Cherie DeVille and that just know how to interact with their fans and continue to build this business. And it's not really about them needing the business to continue their career. It's about them working at it by engaging, by doing events, by chatting all the time, doing live streams, doing all of these things. So it's a matter of how much somebody wants to work. That's going to be how long their career lasts.
Now you... Speaking of a lull, I mean, you started porn in the 90s?
Yep, 94 was my first
94.
Scene.
I mean, shout out to...
How old were you? Were you born yet?
A year.
Start them young. You had a crush probably on Brandon Walsh. Probably a Dylan McKay kind of a guy.
It was really just their lifestyle.
Yeah,
it was the
90210
weather.
stuff.
They had a cordless phone and we didn't. Like, I was just this kid that wanted more. And I felt like nobody in my family wanted more. Everybody was just happy with the same and it just irked me.
But you started off in 94, like you said, to give a call back to Beverly Hills 90210, when you were 18, right? Fake ID even.
Yep.
And then... was there a lull? Because basically in 2008, that's when things popped again for you, right?
Right.
That's when you did the famous Palin. I mean, everyone knew that
Love
movie.
that woman.
I mean, this is what, I mean, a lot of people know
Who's
you
Palin,
for.
Palin?
Was there a lull before we get to that? Was there some lull? Were you like the yacht, the young hot fresh girl lull? Boom! Now you're milfy Sarah Palin. Explain that process.
I left the industry in 1997 because we had a huge HIV issue. We had a performer that was faking his test, and we had performers coming up with positive HIV tests, and the industry was still shooting, and it just freaked me out. And before we even knew where it stemmed from, we had about 6 women test positive, and I was just like,
So it was
you
a
know
male
what?
performer?
Yeah, I was like,
Okay.
you know what? I'm out. Like, I don't trust anybody. It became a trust issue. And I actually came here to Pompano Beach, Florida for a feature dance booking at a club. I forget the name of it. It wasn't a crazy
Cheetah,
person.
booty traps.
I can't remember.
Solid gold, Dean's gold. Which one? No, sorry, I don't know.
I met my husband at that club. He was a
Wow.
bouncer. I'm not married anymore, but I met my husband at that club. He was a bouncer, and I convinced him to go on the road with me. And so what I did was I used my fame that I had already got, and I just went out on the road and feature danced for like another 5 years. And then, of course, that stopped 9/11. We were on the road. We knew all the bookings were going to be canceled, and that whole gig was going to be up for me. And then in 2005, after I was divorced, I got introduced to an agent who was looking for someone that knew the industry to be an agent. And MILF wasn't popular then. Like, I was in my early 30s. We didn't even know girls were shooting in their early 30s back yet. Because before it was like you were young, and at 26, you were either out on the road or you were like living at the Bunny Ranch, right?
And the movie American Pie wasn't maybe even out yet. So
Wasn't even out
Stifler's
yet.
mom, the
Right,
MILF thing,
wasn't out
wasn't it
yet.
like in part of pop
So
culture?
from sitting at that agency desk, I felt the fever, and also we were now testing where all of the tests were available online. You could type in your performer's name, and it would tell you all of their stats. So no one could fake their test anymore. So that's when I felt safe going back. And then the MILF thing happened, and then here comes Sarah Palin. It was like the gift of Sarah Palin
Yeah.
in my life. She's my spirit animal. I check her
She's your
feed
spirit animal.
every day. I love her so much.
Have
And
you ever met her?
Not yet, but it's
Oh
gonna
my
happen.
God! Can we get Sarah Palin on the goddamn line here, David?
Yeah,
What's going on?
I think we can arrange that.
Oh my God.
It's part 2 of Lisa Ann on the Soscast. Lisa Ann, Amber, Sarah Palin.
Now, Amber, how old were you in 2008?
I was 14.
Okay, so you weren't legal yet. Do you remember the 2008
Of course.
election? You
Yes,
do remember that.
absolutely.
So you weren't
Do you remember?
legal yet.
Do you remember who was running in the 2008 election?
Was it Romney and Palin? No, it was
McCain.
McCain and
It was
Palin.
John McCain.
Well, Palin was a star. She was the
Yeah.
celebrity.
She was.
I feel like she was our first celebrity presidential candidate.
She was.
Like
Yeah.
before Obama. Like I feel like Palin was the one who
Okay.
was the most trendy or the most like ridiculous. The first one that had
Yeah.
a personality beyond.
She was the
the
first
role.
maybe
Bombastic one.
non-politician that really
Yeah.
hit the pop scene,
That-
right?
She was like a character of
Okay,
herself.
so-
She was a character.
And who played Sarah Palin first, and who played it better? You
Or Tina Fey.
Or Tina Fey, exactly.
It's funny because I love Tina Fey, such a huge Tina Fey fan, and she wrote me into a couple of speeches, and there's some great quotes out there where Tina Fey says, Lisa Ann played Sarah Palin, but Lisa Ann knows more about foreign policy, but I know more about three ways. Like she really played this. Of course, she played her better because they have script writers and they have all these people. I mean, I was given my Palin scene, all the movies, like you're handed the script the same day, and they're like, figure this out, and But I wouldn't let the production companies buy my wardrobe because I did not trust them. And I knew I wanted to be so specific with Sarah's looks. So I studied all of her looks, and I sew, one of my crafts, my secret hobbies.
Can we pull up?
So what I did was I bought
Because you
suits.
wanted to honor her.
Perfectly. I wanted the suits to look exactly like hers, but I knew Larry Flint loves legs. So I knew the suits had to be short. I knew I couldn't trust a tailor. I took in all, because you had to pornify these suits, but I spent more money on my suits than I made in the Sarah Palin movies.
Did you
What?
really?
I did.
What do you mean? How much did you spend on your outfits and versus how much you made on those movies?
I spent more money on my outfits than I made.
Would you break down the numbers? How did that work?
Because I knew that this was going to be big. I knew that I'd wear the suits out on the road, feature dancing, and I knew that everybody was going to see this. And I knew that if nothing against Hustler, but I knew they'd put me in some weird polyester, like cheap looking, and it wouldn't do Sarah justice, right?
This is very interesting to me as a concept because you didn't feel the actual work disrespected her.
Well, no, not at all. I mean, I had a moment Nina Hartley had asked me if I would play Sarah Palin, and I was like, I don't know if I'd want to do that to somebody. But then when Larry Flint's people reached out, I was like, for Larry, I'd do anything.
Really? The legendary Larry Flint.
Rest in peace, just passed away this past year. But when I first moved to California from becoming pen pals with his assistant, who then became his wife, I became like family friends with them and would go dinner at their house and take trips with them. So when this came about, yes, I did not want to disrespect her wardrobe because she was so specific. I had the exact glasses. She wore always 2 pair of lashes, not one. I mean, I would stand at my TV and study everything that she was doing.
Were you thinking she would see it and you wanted to?
No, I just knew that the first day on set, we were going to have our first day where there was mainstream crews there. Like TMZ was going to be there and all these different reporters.
You just wanted to nail the role.
I wanted to nail it.
Oh, she nailed it. All right, buddy.
And I wanted to make it like, look, I was in an Eminem video as Sarah Palin. Like, I just knew that was an investment that was going to make me a ton of money. And that last 4 years going on the road and dancing in in Palin suits and everything, like, that was a minor investment to market the product properly, to make maximum.
The ROI on that was insane, right? Is that what you're saying?
Insane.
That's my girl.
Insane. And there was no way I was trusting them because they wouldn't have spent the quality. I knew what brands she was buying. I was ordering Tahari suits. Like, I was getting the same brands as her because, there'd be like lookbooks where you could look at exactly where she got. And then I'd just taper them and tailor them myself. I had my talent agency at that time, and I had my sewing machine in the agency. I had everything pinned and pressed that I was going to be doing. It just looked like a sweatshop for hookers. Like, it was like the weirdest looking place ever, and nailed it.
Lisa, can I ask, after the success of Nailin' Palin, did you get approached to play another political figure or another
Barack Obama?
Yeah.
Was it
there was a Palin Nailin' Obama scene that we did.
Yeah.
By the way, the first one was the one that everybody knows about. We shot 6 more because in porno they have to ring everything out.
Right.
I did get approached to play Tina Fey in a 30 Rock parody.
What?
So then I did the same thing. I did the same thing with Tina Fey's look, and so I played Tina Fey in a 30 Rock parody.
Wow.
I love how they come up, like, how do they come up with the porn names? Like, I'm sure that instead of 30 Rock, they called it 30 Cock, or instead
30
of
Rock
like
Triple X. You have to change so much about it. Like, we had to spell Sarah Palin's name differently. It was P-A-Y for parody protection. And I learned all of that from Larry. I went with him to speak.
Larry Flint.
Yep. I went to D.C. with him to speak because Congress was having an issue with this. This is when parodies were really becoming a thing. And he knew everything. He was a brilliant man. And look, if it wasn't for Larry Flint, I wouldn't have this life.
Why do you owe it to him?
Well, because, he fought for our rights to be able to make this a legal tax-paying career, to be in the smut business, is what it was called back when he was fighting that trial. If you ever saw The People versus Larry Flint.
You're familiar with this movie?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the history of really how this came about to be legal and not be considered prostitution or banned in certain states, those types of things. So to me, he was our frontier.
Speaking of Sarah Palin, how do you think she would have done as a VP?
I wanted to go and feature dance in Alaska when I was doing the Palin thing. It's the one state that would not let me go there because people liked her so much and liked her politics so much. The clubs didn't want to cause any sort of protest or what have you. So that really made me start studying her more. She might have come off unprepared, but she's a very intelligent woman. And she does have that really grounded, I know what Americans want because she's a mom. She's a real person. She just said some very flippant things that made it easy to play her. When she said she could see Russia from her backyard, I was like,
legendary.
I cannot wait to say that in this movie. Like, she just did things, but she was unprepared.
Now, here's the question. Did she earn your vote? Did you vote for Obama and Biden, or did you vote for McCain and Palin?
Who'd you vote for?
Well, I couldn't. I just was too worried that McCain wasn't going to make it for too long. So it's sad
You
to admit that I
didn't?
did not vote for Sarah Palin at that time.
Sarah Palin.
I can't believe you asked me. Such an awkward and personal
It's
question.
okay.
But
That's
She said
the question that
nothing was
offends
on
Lisa
limits.
Ann.
Nothing was off
She's
limits.
talking about gangbangs and all this and having fun. Don't ask.
I'm
you
sorry,
heard-
Sailor, and I hope that Sarah still wants to interview with us. And does
we
because
can
I would
arrange
vote for
that.
her now.
She was at the wrong time. If she was during the Trump era, everything she said would have been
I
nuts.
agree.
Boom.
I
Would have
agree.
been fine.
Timing is everything.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the Dave Chappelle? You're a comedian. You're an actress. Did you ever hear the Dave Chappelle thing that he did about politics and sex? it's a bit where he's like basically like he's talking with a buddy and he's like, so look, I'm with my wife last night. The guy's like, hold on, excuse me, let me just ask you a question. Who are you voting for? He's like, buddy, you're asking me all these personal questions. I'm trying to tell you that I'm having sex with my wife last night. I'm banging my wife. He's like, I just want to know who you voted for. Stop with the personal questions. I'm trying to tell you about banging my wife. It's a bit he talks about how, you know, politics is
more personal than sex. It really, truly is. We were taught to only talk about it at the dinner table with family, and that's it. You were never allowed to talk about who you voted for.
That's the question that stumps or offends Lisa Ann. Did you vote for
I don't want her to think I didn't believe in her, but
she still wants to meet her.
You should.
No, and you will.
You should.
And speaking of voting and polls,
yes, David,
we ran a poll. Sarah Palin or Lisa Ann, 79% voted for Lisa Ann.
Lisa Ann, clearly. Hello.
But can
Clap
you
it up for
pull
Lisa
Can you pull
Ann.
up Sarah's IG? Because she's really rocking right now. When she was in New York for the New York Times lawsuit, I was like, her style is on point. She's super lean. She's very fit. I was like, lady, you are getting,
Her Instagram handle is nailinpalin97.
By the way, during the Nail and Palin era, I was banned from all of her social. I was blocked. And then she must have hired a new...
blocked from her social.
Like I would go on, you know, when people block you. And then
2008,
you
that must have been Facebook
super
and
offended.
possibly Twitter at that point.
Yeah, and look at her.
Yeah.
Isn't she dashing? She really, really is.
She's no Lisa Ann, but respect to her.
Lisa Ann.
She's also dating that younger guy, the hockey player. Another thing I love about her.
Who is she dating now?
Really?
She's dating this retired hockey player who's in his 30s. This was a big
find
part of the New York trip.
How milfy of her. People do
Super
forget
milfy.
how milfy she was. The media didn't know what to do with her
Didn't know
at
what
that
to do
point
with her.
because she was
hot and crazy.
She was hot and crazy and not the smartest, but also not an idiot. And she was the candidate and she was
was the
attractive.
governor. Do you know who the governor?
People didn't know what to do with her.
Do you know who the governor of Alaska is now?
No.
Lisa Ann
No.
Murkowski.
You're joking.
I am not joking.
No, Lisa Ann.
I am not joking.
She's a
That's
senator.
excellent.
But Lisa Murkowski is a senator.
He's in his 30s?
Unless she's now a governor.
I thought she was now a governor.
Anyway, the point is she's running Alaska. Lisa Ann Murkowski.
So Lisa Murkowski.
Pull up Lisa Ann Murkowski.
Lisa Murkowski and Sarah were going back and forth in like some
Lisa
social media
and-
war. And I said to myself,
M-U-R-K.
what are the chances Lisa Murkowski's middle name is Ann? Go look this up immediately. And I went and looked it up, and there it was.
Oh my god.
Because every Lisa
Yeah.
from my generation, their
There it
middle
is.
name was
Lisa
Ann.
Ann Murkowski.
Yeah.
This is when you know it's like meant to be.
Oh my God.
Right?
The universe.
She's an American attorney, politician, serving as the senior United States Senator for
Senator.
Alaska. Okay, no worries. Yeah, Trump doesn't like her very much because she was one of the few
know.
Republicans who
Yeah.
basically, I think, voted to impeach him.
What
and
if she was at one of those amateur nights at the strip joint?
she would not be a fan favorite? She's not exactly the
Like in her
most
youth?
attractive.
There may have been a time.
Anyway, speaking of do you follow politics at all?
Very much so.
You do.
Yes.
What's your opinion on what's going on in the world today? Ukraine, Russia, Joe Biden, inflation, debt. What's your take on what's going on?
I kind of explained how this was going to go to my friends a while back. I had been explaining to my friends exactly what was going to happen. And now all of my friends think I am the smartest person in the world. I was betting money with friends on elections. I was betting money with friends that this was going to happen with Russia, but it was going to be after the Olympics. It was going to wait till the Olympics were over. I knew this was coming. And everybody's like, this is not happening. I'm like, gas prices are going to go up to $10. And this was a year ago. I was like, this is how this is, because I read a lot. I survey the situation and I see what's playing out in front of us. So I just talked to my best friends into listing their house for sale because they had two places, one in Orange County, one in Nevada. They want to live in Nevada, tax shelter, whatever. And they're going back and forth. I said, you're an idiot. If you don't sell right now, interest rates could go up between 7 and 9 times this year. There's going to be less people out there fighting for your home. And you're in an area that's going to be surrounded with homeless people in Garden Grove, California. You got to sell this thing. Wasn't even listed a day. They get over $1 million.
Boom.
Boom. They owe nothing on the house.
Did you take your 6% realtor
They
fee,
owe
Lisa?
but they're so happy with me right now. Okay. But I just think 6 months home sales are really going to slow down. But this is where we're at. We're overcorrecting from so much intensity. We're also in a place where COVID was trauma. A pandemic is trauma. Everybody handles trauma differently. We saw the outrage with protests. We saw the outrage with looting. We want to have less police. New York, when my girlfriends and I go out at night, we take an armed guard with us. We will not
wow.
leave in the dark.
In
without
what city? In
New York City, Manhattan.
Is that where you live? You live in New
Yep,
York City now?
I do.
Okay, not LA anymore.
I moved in 2019.
Wow.
When I left the industry, I moved to New York full time.
You go out with armed guards in New York. That's how dangerous New York is now?
That's how dangerous it is, because this is what happens when you take the plain-dressed officers off the street who used to watch things go down and then communicate with cops. This is what happens when you have less cops. So I was prepared. I moved into a building with crazy security. I moved into a building that has tons of activities. You could picture Step Brothers, and where they're like, we have so many activities. Because I told my friends, like,
You touch my drum set.
we're buying the
your balls in
next
my
2
drum
to
set.
3 years of absolute living hell. And I predicted this as soon as the election went down. And I've been trying to preach it to my people. And now finally they're like, oh, this is real. Like, I can't believe how in denial people were about Russia. Why would he be lining up tanks for a month? You think he's just wasting time and money and fuel? And why would he have people doing blood drives over there so that there's blood supplies by the border? He's doing that for his soldiers. Like, people are like, no, it's not going to happen. Like, you're living in La La Land. And I don't know why. Because these are important things you want to be on the pulse of to prepare. Like, I didn't invest as much last December. I kept more money liquid because I know the market's going to bottom out this year, and then I'm going to go in really hard. And that's why I told
You're
my
gonna buy
friend
the
that-
dip.
I'm going to buy the dip.
Yep.
I'm ready for the dip. That's why I told my girlfriend to sell her house. I'm like, take that mill that you owe nothing on, sit on it, and listen to me, and I'll tell you what month to get ready. Boom, boom, boom. Your retirement now fast-tracked 4 years from what you've lost.
Financial advisor to the stars. Let's clap it up for Lisa Ann, by the way.
That was an insane monologue. You should
Unbelievable.
write
Back
those
to the
Yeah.
Lisa
sentences.
cast. Sauce, you're out.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah,
Done.
very impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, so needless to say, you're a fan of Biden, not a fan. You did he have your vote? What's your take on Trump versus Biden? Give me your brutal, honest take. Lisa, Trump, Biden.
Banging Biden.
You know, this is we're living in the world of cancel culture. So I may have admitted that I did not vote for Sarah Palin, which I feel very bad about, but I cannot do that with this election. So I'll leave that as a neutral comment. I think we voted for a president. We voted against a president instead of voting for a leader
100%.
that could handle the responsibility. And again, that's the overcorrection. And this was, last 2 Aprils ago when New York was just getting almost burned down and everything was getting robbed every night. I'm like, okay, brace yourselves, because now we have to do things we don't want to do to please people and make them feel calmer. It's like a fake pacifier we had to give to the world.
Right.
Trump did not have the best bedside manner, but he also was the first, I believe, the first president to have the media just turn against him in such a vile way that they never discussed anything positive that he was doing. And I think you saw that down here with DeSantis a little bit at the beginning
Yep.
of COVID. And then everybody,
DeSantis.
and I can swear, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And then everybody just shut the fuck up and wanted to come down here and not wear a mask. And I'm
Yeah.
like, all you people judging him for how he's run his state, where people are opening restaurants from New York and Florida because they can make money. People need to work. People
Right.
need to do things. And he was enabling that to happen. So it kind of calmed down for him. But I just think, our news is so sad. I mean, the propaganda that we watch, and whatever channel, whatever your lean is, you're now watching news be fed to you. That's why I read between 3 and 4 hours of news a day, because once I read one story, I have to go and read 10 other writers that write for different networks to see what their slant is. And then I formulate my own opinion because I know you're not telling me the fucking truth. And I know you're just wanting me to do what you want me to do. It's very similar to Russia and the propaganda and the way those people have lived for years. My adopted family, the family that loves me like a family since I don't have a family, they're from Russia. They're first generation here. Children are first generation here. And they've been talking to me and educating me on how they were blindsided by the news and what made them want to come here. And then when the news started to change here, they're like, they're brainwashing everybody. They're brainwashing everybody. This is how it starts. This is the slow trickle. Everybody starts to believe it. Everybody turns against each other. Everybody takes a side, and then you have war.
Shit.
Lisa Ann is very well informed. You remember when they asked Sarah Palin, like, so what do you read? And she's like, oh, I read, and she couldn't
Highlights.
come up. I couldn't read.
You're a better Sarah
Yeah.
Palin.
Yeah, clearly you're reading. Have you ever had an interaction with a politician or a politician who knew you or you knew, like, any interactions with politicians?
No, I stay away from murky waters, and I just feel the safety factor. You know, what Stormy went through by going through this situation with Trump really affected her own personal safety, the safety of her child.
Yeah.
Her
Do you know
family.
Stormy?
I do.
Okay, so
very
tell us
well.
about your opinion or what you took from that with Stormy Daniels and Trump.
I think it took a lot of balls. I think the situation was murky. I think none of us will ever really know the truth.
Do you think that they had sex?
I think she said they did, right?
Yeah, but do you believe her?
I think, yeah. I mean,
Could you see Trump banging a porn star?
of course.
You could?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
Can
do you think Trump would be in bed? Truth be told.
God.
You know, I think he has a little bit of an issue still at this point in his time, and nothing bad against him, but with ego, and ego can really affect a man in the bedroom,
Ooh, explain that.
right? Because they're always trying to prove, they're always trying to cheer. They're not as much of a giver, and I think a thing has to go. That's why there's the financial transaction when it comes to a prostitute, because there's still that control with the man. There's still that like ego of like, I'm better than you, and no matter how well I perform, I'm still better than you. So. Well, you know, the getting the money and then going through all of that, I just don't know if I would have handled it that way. But that's why anybody that has come to me in these types of walks of life, I'm like, yeah, this is a murky area and it doesn't fit into the boundaries of my life. So no, I would
Are
never.
there any politicians that you think would make good porn stars?
That's very interesting.
Joe Manchin.
I mean, look at Sarah. I mean, we can't not talk about Sarah. I did visit Wasilla. I didn't get to meet with Sarah.
Sarah
That's where
Palin,
she's
huh?
from in Alaska.
Wasilla, right?
Wasilla, yes. I did a 2-week trip to Alaska after the industry because I couldn't feature there. I don't know. Who do we think would be good? I mean, that's a great question.
How do you think Obama is in bed?
I think
He's
he's
bringing
smooth.
the heat. You think?
I think
Smooth talker.
I think he's smooth.
Well, come here,
Don't you
Michelle.
think he's smooth?
Michelle, come here. Get on
the
your
pipe.
knees. And
I think
lay
he's
the pipe?
smooth. I think he's really
Yeah.
smooth.
Can I ask a question?
yeah, of course.
I feel like as women, we are very much conditioned by society to attribute our own self-worth and value to our purity from a very young age. And I'm just curious as to how you, in your mind, kind of flipped that script from an early age and instead empowered yourself to take advantage of a market, an industry that you knew people were making money in, and not to have your own self-worth validated by men in the way that so many of us like feel like we are raised on.
I get that. And I get that, you know, there have been men that like have tried to for a minute date me and then realize that that's the main issue that they're up against. That's what they can't process. They can't accept that lack of purity that I have. That I did flip the script. But not having a great home life growing up, not having money, I just couldn't allow anybody's opinion to come in the way of me not having the life I wanted to live.
But where did you get your confidence from?
Just not giving a fuck about what other people think, because I wanted what I wanted more than I wanted to care what they wanted for me.
How do you process that, Amber?
Yeah.
About not caring what other people think. I think as a performer, it's a kind of like an oxymoron in a lot of ways, because you have to care what people think in order to give them what they want to see in order to be successful.
You are looking for approval in some capacity.
Right, definitely. A stand-up comedian,
Of course.
can only do well if the
Crowd
people,
likes them, right?
People are laughing. Comedy doesn't exist on its own like dance does or other kinds of art. Like comedy is a relationship. So caring what other people think is important. Though there are auteurs who did whatever they wanted and were still successful, but a lot of times after they died. So
Right. Right.
do you know what I mean?
Well.
I'm seeing more and more, obviously, with OnlyFans and women becoming more okay, like blurring the lines of what is moral, what is immoral, and what we can make money on, and how you can still be respected. Do you believe now in this day where Kim Kardashian had a sex tape and then became, successful on her own business ventures, that you can cross industries? Because the main ideology or justification that you shouldn't, as a woman, do anything in the adult film industry is that when it's done, because not everybody can take their success like you did and funnel it into different businesses and make your own career. A lot of women age out and then want to get hired in other fields and can't because of one quick Google search and they're done.
It's a huge issue.
Right.
And it's a huge issue, especially for those who have decided for whatever reason to get out of the business. Like maybe they got into the drug scene, what have you, and they're trying to rehabilitate their lives. And then they can't get a job. And then if they do go and get a job, day 2, somebody's creeping on them and it becomes a huge issue. And that's why I'm always just stressing the most important thing that you can do if you are going to start an OnlyFans, you cannot dabble. If you are going to get in the business, you cannot dabble. You have to go all in and save as much money as possible so you aren't getting denied a job later. So you can buy into businesses and be a silent partner. So you can find your little ways around to not be dealing with that type of exposure, because you could work with 300 people. All it takes is one person. And they could just email everybody that day something that was just inappropriate, something from your past that you didn't need your coworkers. That is an issue. You know, I had an inventor, a founder of an app called Con Connect on my podcast last week. And it made me think, he's an ex-con. And he explained the process of when you get out of jail.
Very similar, right? I see the analogy
very
there.
similar. And how when you get out of jail, they give you this, like, you got to go see this person, this person, this person. You have to work, but nobody wants to hire you because you're an ex-con.
Especially if you're a felon.
Right, exactly. Can't get a realtor license, all this. And I thought to myself, like, I wonder if there could ever be something like that for the adult industry, where there would be businesses that would understand this is what this person used to do. But a lot of the girls, like, I just did a shoot last week in LA for my photos for my birthday, and I hired a retired girl from the industry who's now doing hair and makeup, and I want to help her get that leg up in doing her new thing. There are careers and people are becoming more open-minded, but it definitely is harder. It's 99% harder to fit in with society. It's harder to live in an apartment building. Like, it's harder to have neighbors. Like, everything is all about what you already did.
And it feels very double standard. Of course, it's double standard, right? That like the same men who are paying for it don't want it in their workplace.
Right.
Right? They're like funding the industry, but when that they can't fathom, like they don't want it to hurt the brand or the image of the company, but them themselves have no problem partaking. So it's
right.
You know, as in Miami, obviously lots of girls I know are doing OnlyFans and making lots of money, and I'm, thinking, of course, looking at it every now and then.
You might have taken a calf pic or two. You got some nice calves.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also know that as a comedian, the things I face already are difficult. So how could that possibly work
Lisa,
out
what
for
advice do you have, not only for Amber, but just for girls in general regarding OnlyFans? That's obviously a big thing right now. During the pandemic, how many strippers went online to OnlyFans? How many just normal
house moms?
Yeah, exactly. How many normal girls that weren't making money went on to OnlyFans? What advice do you have for women when it comes to OnlyFans?
Well, first of all, I want to give everyone credit who put food on their table without taking government assistance. And for these people who stepped up and said, I'm going to do this because I'm supporting my family or I'm doing this, there's a huge admiration from me for saying, okay, you already knew you could work from home and all you got to do is shoot cute pictures. You're going to make some money. Good for you, because it's legit money. You're getting paid through a platform where you do transfer the money into your bank account, but you're getting 1099. There's no shadiness about it. So like, there's that. On the other side, I have the concern for people that don't understand what comes with it when it comes to stalkers, creepy dudes. Like, I'll give you an example. I just read this story the other day. Freaked me out. A girl that has an OnlyFans lives in New Hampshire. One of her fans found out where she lived. He broke into her house. He hid in her attic. He lived in her attic for weeks. He duplicated her house keys. He shot video of her sleeping. And finally, it was her mother that realized somebody was up there, and he got arrested, of course. But
before he'd
never heard her.
He's just watching.
Holy
He was
shit.
just watching her sleep. He tried to tell the cops that she had a rape fantasy and he was planning on raping her. So now they're going through all of her profile to see if she ever used these words.
Still completely unacceptable. I don't care what kind of fantasy she's had.
Unacceptable, but
Right.
it does concern me for the backlash that even these moms might feel. You bring up a great point with the workspace. Now maybe they are going back to their office. Are
Right.
people going to treat them fairly? Maybe now they are dropping their kids back off at school. Are the other moms and dads who only know know they're on OnlyFans because they probably watch their shit.
Right.
But are they going to mistreat them? So I think we're going to see the psychological aspect. Like it was all profit margins during the pandemic. Now it's time for us to evaluate the psychological effects of it.
What advice do you have for these OnlyFans women or women in general that are getting cash, boom, 1099, or even strippers, people get, I know you've talked
Save.
about, okay. Talk about that, what you tell women.
First and foremost, I ask every young girl to get ahead of her taxes because I've seen, in the past, I remember being like I was telling you, I was 25, 26 years old. And Janine, who is like the most beautiful girl in the industry, she did a duo with Julia Ann, and she went to jail for tax evasion. And I was like, this is real. Like, this can happen to somebody I know. This beautiful woman's going to go to jail. So then I learned that when she got out of jail, she still owed that money. Like, they only cut back your interest.
Tons of money, right? Not little.
We're talking tons of money, but, you can
tens of thousands of dollars.
Tens of thousands of dollars that when you're not paying, your interest rate goes up to 33% a day. So every 3 days, you're tripling what so it just added up. And so the first thing I talk to any young performer is taxes. Like, get ahead of it. At best, at least do quarterlies, but best thing for you to do is just start a corp and pay yourself as an employee. Get this going right away. A business manager is a great outlet if you can find somebody you trust. I have one. Thank you, Scott Goober. Shout out. Takes care of everything. It allows me to live off the grid because I don't get any mail where I live. All of my bills go to his office. He is my power of attorney. He takes care of everything for me. And then also I just kind of lay it out, like if you save this much money now, you'll have this much money later. The importance of your credit, even if you have money, you still have to have great credit, and just reeling it in because stuff will own you. And like for every outfit I ever bought, and even when I was done with the Palin stuff, I sell that stuff to fans. So when I would wear an outfit on set, there's a website called My Sexy Auctions, and I know a lot of OnlyFans models are using it as well because we're not allowed to sell things on OnlyFans. That's one of their things. They don't want us selling, and I get that. Credit card processors, people chargebacks, all these things. So as soon as I would wear an outfit, I'd take pictures of it on set. I'd put the thing up, just wore this on set today, and I would sell it, the whole thing, the shoes, the stockings, the whole thing. So I would double or triple the initial investment that I paid for that lingerie, and then I'd put it back into the next thing. And so there's so many ways to make money. So there's no reason you can't save 70% of it, especially when you're young. What do you need money for? You don't have to have a flashy car. You have to have a nice car. Just, go with a Lexus. It's a nice car, but it's not too expensive. You know what I mean? You don't need the Mercedes. You don't need the Maserati when you're 24. So I really just start them small, and also understanding the importance of not accumulating stuff that has value. Sell it to your fans immediately. Make money off of that. And don't put anything on credit cards that you're not paying off every single month. Like, that's just stupid because you make enough money. There's no reason for you to use a credit card to buy stuff. And I really just kind of build on being financially responsible, how empowering it feels for a young woman to know that she can do what she wants. She can take a month off if she wants to go to a different country and travel, and she has the money to do that, the financial stability to do that. The biggest problem we see is boyfriends.
Explain that. What do you mean?
Boyfriends will meet young girls and they're lonely. It's an isolating business. It's hard to make other girlfriends outside of the industry. It's competitive to have girlfriends inside of the industry. So they're very susceptible to fall in love with what we call suitcase pimps. A guy that will drive them to set, help them with their stuff, but also wants like half of their money. And
suitcase pimps.
That's what we call them. It's a great term.
Because they hold their bags and they
hold
drive
their
them
bags.
around.
Right. And so they normally don't have to work, but they're at the girl's disposal. And
are these guys tend to be toxic? Are they abusive?
They can be toxic.
Are they financially just scumbags? What are these guys?
They can be. As an agent, your biggest fear was a girl calling you saying, I got a boyfriend. You're like, oh my God, I'd rather you have anything right now than a boyfriend. Because normally they're there for the money grab. And some of these guys will go through 10, 12 girls in the industry. Like, I see guys still to this day at trade shows, and I'm like, this motherfucker's come up is unreal. Like, he's been hustling girls since 2003, has never worked a real day in his life, gets to go around and, hook up with other girls because she's in the business. So, of course, she lets him have sex with anybody he wants. There's this whole open life that comes with it. And then the girl ends up not only heartbroken, but with less money.
Do you ever go up to the guy and be like, listen, motherfucker, I know what you're up to. And I'm Lisa Ann, and I don't take no shit from nobody. And I know that you're hanging out with this pretty little little 21-year-old right now, but let me tell you something. If I hear you being a bag pimp one more time, like...
Right, but it's probably so hard for them to find men who are okay with
Yes,
it,
it
period.
is. And
that
also, it's
they
hard
just
for them
want-
to be
Yeah,
alone.
exactly.
Is that
I'll
what
take
it
I
is?
can take.
It's hard for them to be alone.
Do they
Like,
just want to be loved?
yeah, just want to be loved.
Wait, I really want to know what male porn stars are like. We never hear about them,
Well-
but are they emotionally intelligent? Would you say that they're more emotionally intelligent than
We
most
are.
men?
I did porn for a little bit. I never posted it.
Bang Bros?
Are you,
Because that's
kidding?
here in Florida. That's why I asked.
No, but if you know a contact, let me know. We'll talk after the show.
This is fantastic.
no, but I'm really
Jean-Jacques?
curious.
So
about-
there's a great mix,
Yeah.
right? There's a great mix. There's a mix of highly intelligent men that just realized they could do it because maybe they met a girl in the business and she asked them to try it, and they've realized they could make a lot of money doing it, and they work out all the time and they're fit. I have a friend, Christian, who was just on my podcast. He does triathlons all over the world, and he knew that like this industry would allow him to make gobs of money at a period of time and then take his months off to go and do other things. And then there's just like the dudes that are dumber than a box of chocolates, and that you think to them like, thank God you were gifted with that beautiful penis, because otherwise I know like you couldn't
David.
even make it at Walmart. Like, so there's a big
it's like being born
range.
tall and feeling like you have to do basketball. If you're born with that kind of song, you're like, all right.
I guess
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Well, Lisa, this is actually a perfect segue to explaining how the money works in porn. Like, what does a A-list female porn actor make in a month or a year versus a male A-lister, like a Peter North or Ron Jeremy versus a Lisa Ann?
Wait,
or-
is this the one industry where it's flipped?
It's flipped, totally flipped.
Yeah,
totally
explain.
flipped.
Yeah.
We make more
Hey.
money, and we have 90% more money making opportunity. You think the guy's gonna be able to hustle his stuff on my sexy auctions?
No.
You think he's gonna get to go feature dance?
No.
You think he's gonna get to go host at a nightclub?
No.
Do you think he's gonna get to do anything? No, we make all the money.
Hell
but
yeah.
And you let it be known.
oh,
Yeah.
we sure do.
I'm protesting the wage gap in the porn industry.
Yeah. So what can
And really, they are. So I couldn't really do it over a year because you don't know how many scenes somebody's going to.
Yeah.
Let's break it down per scene.
Sure.
A really good male performer now makes more money than ever because they're needed more than ever because production has to shoot 3 scenes a day when they used to shoot 1. So you need a guy that can come in, be ready, and come on demand. So they'll pay $1,000 to $1,500 for that, whereas 10 years ago that was $500 to $700.
Gotcha.
For
And that's
one shoot or
One
for all
shoot,
3?
One shoot.
For
one
all 3
shoot.
shoots.
No, he's shooting 1 scene out of those 3.
Gotcha.
So
and,
they-
that's a half hour. How long is he on set for?
He's on
$1,500
set
done.
for about 3 hours. So you
Okay.
do photos first, you do all your stills first, you know, the storyline, whatever that may be, then the sex stills, then you take a cooling off period, then you shoot the video. So let's say he's on set for 2-3
Yeah.
hours. But there are still guys in the business doing scenes all day for $300 to $500.
all day.
All day. You
Those
know,
are
that-
B,
those are
C-listers.
guys, yeah,
Those
those are guys.
You wouldn't be caught dead hanging out with
would
those
not
guys.
be working with them. I need a
Those are the
performer.
David Parrs of the
Okay,
world.
so that's the top guy. He's making
Guys.
$1,500 a day. Now, what do the top females make?
Now, girls, it's very different because the girls have finally gotten really savvy on the sense that if they shoot less, they can ask for more money. So what they'll do is they'll go to a company like Brazzers, who has a ton of money, and they'll shoot a couple of scenes. Those scenes will do really, really well. And so let's say they were getting $2,500 for those scenes, each one. So $2,500
Wow.
each. The wage has really climbed up because there's only a few girls that drive traffic, right?
Right.
You know, I've always driven traffic, so I could charge whatever I want.
Hell yeah.
Then Brazzers will come to them and say, I want to shoot 3 more scenes, and they'll wait. And they'll wait. And they'll say, you know what? Give me $3,500. Tell me when you're ready to pay me. And they'll just keep climbing up the ladder. So there's a lot of that. And then there's the girls that want to work 20 days a month. Those girls, they'll charge $1,000 a day, maybe $1,200 for anal. Like they'll just charge a certain amount so that they could keep working. I remember when I repped Nina Hartley. She came
You
into
repped
me.
her.
I was her agent.
Okay.
And I had all the MILFs. And I had this, and I was finding MILFs from the past that were not in the industry anymore when they wanted to bring back all these starlets. And Nina came in and she gave me her rate. And I said to her, I cannot be your agent for that rate.
Really?
It was so low. And she's like, but I love doing it. I'm like, this is a fucking business. Like, you should be getting double of what you're getting. She's like, I can never ask for that. And I just forced her to it because she was worth it, because people love being on set with her, and because she has name brand value, but she never had the balls. And she didn't have that business savvy to go and run her numbers and do the analytics and be like, I know I can get this right.
Are there still porn? I'm sorry if this sounds ignorant. porn stars with names that people follow, or is the market so saturated that?
Oh, come on, Amber. What an amateur hour question is
No,
that?
it's not.
Of course they follow.
But you're right, though. It's way different than it was in the 90s where,
Debbie Dallas.
Also,
name?
remember
Debbie was
something.
From the 90s, yes.
Porn stars appeared in a lot of TV shows in the 90s and the 2000s.
Like who?
Not Ballers. What was the show before? Entourage had a bunch of Vivid.
Oh, they had Sasha Grey.
They had Sasha Grey. They also had Tegan Presley. Like Vivid girls got on all these TV shows. So those were really followed girls. Janine,
Right.
Julianne. Everybody knew who they were.
over the
But
top.
you're right. It is very different. But now there's a group of girls that are just really social media savvy. So
Right.
they know how to really push
I
traffic.
just feel like there's so many. I'm talking about
So
like
many.
household names, not like
Gotcha.
names that men would know.
You're right.
Well, here,
I feel like at a time
let's look
women
at some
knew.
names here. I want to get your opinion on some
Okay.
of these names. What we wanted to do, because obviously it's a financial show. We talk about
I
dating,
love
we talk about
Tara.
relationships.
Tara's my friend
Here-
that moved to Italy, by the way. She lives in Italy full time.
Here are a list of the top 10 richest porn stars.
These are
okay?
never right, but let's see
These
what
are
they
never
say.
right. What I
Never
want
right.
to do right now is get your initial reaction when you see their name, and you tell us what you think if these are accurate or not. So number 1 on the list is the legendary Jenna Jameson. Thoughts on Jenna and her being number 1 on this list?
Jenna Jameson's going through a horrible health issue right now. She's lost her ability to walk. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, my God.
She's been using a walker. She's got some mystery disease that they haven't discovered yet. So we should pass on her and just send her love. I've been
Oh
speaking
God!
to her on the
Se-
regular.
Sending love to Jenna.
Bless
Number
her
2.
heart. But she married well as well. I'll just throw
Good
that
for
in
her.
there. She
And
married
she
a
was-
Russian jeweler guy.
Speaking of just knowing names, she was the it girl in the 90s.
Oh,
Not even
yeah.
questioned. It was
Yeah.
Pamela Anderson in on TV, and it was Jenna
Yep.
Jameson on the porn. I mean,
You are
let's
correct. And Stern
yeah.
loved Jenna. She was on all the time. She was
she's
in
legend.
Stern's movie.
Legend.
Yep.
Beautiful. Well, wishing her well,
Yeah.
straight up. Number 2 is Tara Patrick.
Tara's done very well for herself, but she's had to deal with some controversy. She had a boyfriend who took a lot from her that she ended up marrying.
She had a bag pimp type of a guy.
Yeah, but he
Tatted
didn't,
up
he didn't
guy,
come off that
rocker
way.
kind of a guy.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was in that show Oz, which I never watched. He was in the band Biohazard,
Mm-hmm.
but it ended very poorly with him. But I'll tell you what she did that was brilliant. She was the first contract girl to want to leave her contract. It was Digital Playground, and they told her, "You can leave, but we own your name."
Oh damn.
And she spent, court. And you know what court costs.
Mm-hmm.
She spent a shit ton of money to make sure that was never going to happen for her, and so that it could never happen for another entertainer in the industry. And she fought against the grain, and I had to give her so much. She made all of us smarter by doing that, and she empowered all of us to understand our rights as performers. And so she's done well, but she's dealt with a lot of peaks and valleys. She just finished school to be a lab tech, to do compounds with different types of pharmacies.
Wow.
So she did all that on her
Yeah.
own. Her daughter's brilliant, speaks 4 languages. So Tara's a gifted human woman.
And beautiful,
And
clearly.
oh.
And just a side note, we'll move on. But the arm sleeve. Do you have any tattoos?
No, I had one on the back of my neck and I had it removed because I realized it was a bad
Thoughts
idea.
on
So
women
when I
just putting
first
tats everywhere?
When I first met Tara, she had no tattoos at all. And I went to a club not too long ago to visit a friend, and they had an old picture of Tara in a bikini on a poster, and she had no tattoos. I'm like, oh my gosh, she looks so different. And, that's very different living in Italy. Is the tattoos like that's something that people don't really understand as much as
Thoughts
in America.
on women who put tattoos all over their body,
It
especially
works
in porn?
really well for some women. It worked really well for Tara. Janine had that fucking sick sleeve. It's not for me. It's so permanent.
Mm-hmm.
But Tara was, I think, motivated by Evan at the time to do all of those
Gotcha.
tattoos.
Okay, moving on. Number 3, Jessie Jane.
Jessie Jane, bless her sweetheart. Jessie Jane could be worth a lot of money. She's made a lot of money. I don't know how well she's done with it. She's got a party streak in her. And when I see a girl with a party streak, I usually think they're chasing death. So that's.
What do you mean by chasing death? They're doing drugs. They're doing hardcore drugs.
Yeah.
They're not
I
giving
mean,
a shit
there was a
about their
video
body.
of her in Vegas passed out on the strip on TNZ like 2 years ago. Like she's had her rough times, and she was one of the cutest girls.
Mm-hmm.
Another Digital Playground contract girl, but she's earned enough money to have money. So it's a matter of did she save it?
Gotcha. Save that money, as we say. Number four on this
Adam
list
Sosnick.
is Tracy Lords.
Oh wow, Tracy Lords, the first underage girl to get caught shooting porn when she was 16 years old. Do you remember that? You were way too young.
Amber, do you remember that? Did you mean to be comedic in that? Because that was fucking hilarious.
She wasn't even born. Yeah.
Exactly.
By the way, Tracy Lords did this when I was a minor, when I was like 14.
Yeah, this was in the 70s, 80s. What was this?
It was the 80s. It was the mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder where she is now. But
I'm guessing she was the one who was in trouble.
She was in trouble, but she got away with it. But then it made her famous.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a reality star fame back then. So what
Right.
could she really do with it to monetize it?
Right.
I'm assuming that she married well, and these girls at that time were very in the Hollywood scene. All the rock and rollers loved them. And that was, again, never my jam. I just want to hang out with my regular friends and make my money, but not fall into that.
Now,
So who
you've
knows
used
where
that.
she is?
You've used that term "married well" a few times. What does it mean to marry well?
Means they married somebody rich, so they didn't have to worry about their own money.
Gotcha. So rich is what you mean by marry well. David,
Yeah. Not good looking.
number 5.
I'd say
not
very
good
good
looking. What's
Well,
more
I mean,
important to you?
Of course.
Wealth or looks? If you can only have one in a man.
I don't need somebody wealthier than me, but I would like equal or greater value, right? I would like to know that somebody isn't going to take from me. To mind you, if they're a teacher or they work for volunteers, and whatever. If you love what you do, but you don't make any money, I'm not judging you for a guy. But I think at this age, I'll be 50 in 2 months.
Damn.
I think
You
wealth
look
is
amazing.
probably
Are you
more
kidding me?
important than looks.
Wealth is more important than looks.
But yes, I think she probably did.
So you got a chance, David.
Yeah.
Number 5, David,
Number 5.
is Brie Olson. She was very famous because she
Very
was one
famous.
of Charlie Sheen's.
She was one of many. Yes, she was. She
Lady
was one
friends.
of Charlie Sheen's married friends.
I believe he called her a goddess.
Wow.
I don't really know what Brie's up to right now. She pops onto social media once in a while, and we'll chat. But she lives a bit under the radar. She's one of the girls that could have secretly saved a shit ton of money, or she has none.
Save that money. Number 6 is someone you might be familiar with. It is the lovely, luscious Lisa Ann and the top 10 richest porn stars of all time. Tell us about this beautiful lady and this beautiful scene right here.
This was the greatest scene ever,
yes, it
which
was.
was gone viral multiple
By
times
the way,
on Reddit.
David would like to reenact this scene with you.
This is not a beach. It's a bathtub.
This isn't a beach.
It's a
Bathtub.
Shark! I see a shark!
So I had to
Shark in
act
the
like
tub.
I had to act like I was a lifeguard, and
Yep.
so they had rented this location, and I was the 4th scene of the day, and they had already used like the pool, the hot tub, everything else. So the director came to me because he knew I had a good comedic sense. He's like, "Okay, the only body of water we have left at this location is the bathtub. Do you think you can pull this off?" We laughed forever trying to get this dialogue right, but I was like, this is what I got to do, and it became one of my most popular scenes because people loved it.
yes.
They were like, she's gonna, and I told him there was a shark in the bathtub.
Yeah.
I had to save him. I had the full Baywatch because we were spoofing Baywatch.
Yeah.
Baywatch was big at that
Baywatch
time.
right there.
Yep, it was Baywatch.
David, I believe you've been watching this clip on repeat, nonstop.
It's hilarious.
It's
It
hilarious.
was viral on TikTok. The sound people were doing.
Hey!
It's
This
what
isn't
I'm.
a
It's
beach,
one
this is
of
a
my most
bathtub.
well-known things. Lifeguard bathtub. And
Amazing.
now that boy right there,
Yeah.
who wasn't the brightest lamp in the store, so he did
might
pull that
have
off
thought it was a
really,
fucking
really
beach,
well. He's now a preacher.
No.
Yes. So when I promote this scene, like when I'm doing like a Throwback Thursday, I always cut him out because I feel bad. Like I don't want to shame his past life if if he fought so hard to get away from it. But yes, he is a preacher.
The trajectory
Unbelievable.
for male porn stars.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he uses it, right? It's like, well, this is how I came.
Yeah.
From. I mean,
Well, we're all big fans of number 6 on this list. She's number 1 to us. Let's go on to number
I
7,
came.
David. Is Katie Morgan. And I believe me, she, I think, had her own show
She
on
sure
HBO,
did.
I want to say.
She sure did. She's a baller. Katie Morgan is hardworking. She's a hustler. She's definitely
Yes, she
done
is.
well for herself. She owns a lot of her own content, and I would be certain that she is set for life.
That's
Yeah.
great. David, number 8 is Jenna Hayes. I got to tell you, I had a crush on Jenna Hayes. I'm not going to lie.
Now I know your type.
brunette, brown eyes. There it is.
And you know what? She's
Sucker.
a very
Hey.
tiny person,
Yeah,
right? I
how
don't know if
big?
you know this. Like she's probably like 2 inches smaller than me and totally like a little petite, like a mini person. So she had that. So guys liked her because her small hands made their dick look bigger. So like every guy
By the way,
wanted
you should try Manscaped if that's a problem.
shout out Manscaped.
Shout out to
every
Manscaped.
guy wanted to work with her
to
because
be
of her
honest,
small hands.
But she had a very
Jenna
like the
Hayes.
things that would come out of her mouth.
She was
would say-
disgusting.
She would say these things. And you're just
Yes.
like, the fuck?
She would say
You're
she
familiar
was
with this.
of
Were
course
they scripted or
she
was it her
no,
own
that was
improv?
her. She was into it.
Explain that. Some
She
women
was more into more
Some women
rap.
are like very vocal
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
say the craziest things.
They like
and
the
some
throat,
are,
the gagging, the spitting up. Like
What
that.
is that? Explain
she
that.
She dated Jules Jordan for a long time, who has a production company, Jules Jordan Video, and they and he shoots a little bit more of that edgier content. And that was just like she got into business young, but she didn't stay long. She stayed, won a bunch of awards, stayed maybe 3-4 years, and since then she's gone back to school. She does a lot of mainstream stuff. She's done well for herself. She was good. She is a person that makes a ton of money but will still look at prices things, and I always love that about her because I can remember being at an event and a bunch of girls were going back to the room to order food, and they were going to order like bottles room service, and she's like, they were going to order like champagne. She's like, you know, we're not fucking ordering champagne room service with that extra. I'm like, I know we're
this
not.
girl. I told
that
you.
money.
So we're
Something
like,
about that
we're,
save
we're,
that money
we're
vibe.
in Vegas, and we're like, we'll just walk across the street to the liquor store like a normal person,
Yeah.
and then we'll use
Yeah.
the ice bucket from the room, and then
sure.
we'll bring our bottle over.
Fiscal
there
conservative,
was no way.
socially liberal Jenna Hayes. We gotta
Fiscal
love it.
conservative
Match made
for
in
sure.
heaven.
Gotta. David,
sure.
number 9.
Number
is
9.
Aubrey Bertoni. Where'd it happen to that?
Oh, she must have been
Visit Instagram.
suspended, probably,
Yeah,
right?
sorry,
yeah,
this baby-
yeah. She put something racy up there, and IG was
She
like,
put
nope,
something
nope, nope, nope,
racy.
nope.
What happened? She got
Then
canceled.
Slip with a nip like Elaine with
Aubrey,
the Christmas card, you know?
unbelievable.
I'm afraid to look up her name. Just
Aubrey.
Skip to the next one.
yeah, well-
she did well for herself, but she dated some weird dudes.
Is that what her deal was?
Yeah.
Okay.
She dated an agent.
Another pretty
Don't we
brunette,
all?
I want to say.
Pretty brunette.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
We go
and then number 10, we talked about her
Love
earlier. She
her.
was on Entourage.
She's my
Yeah.
favorite.
Another girl who's not afraid to say some nasty things is Sasha Grey.
I had a
She
Sasha
dated-
Grey T-shirt in high school.
Wow. Well, she dated Vinny Chase on Entourage.
Yeah.
Thoughts on her making it onto Entourage, making money, getting into the mainstream? What are your thoughts on that?
She's brilliant. She
Yeah.
travels. She lives in Europe. A lot of the girls will move when they want to leave the industry to other countries because we're not as judged. It's very different. So that's why a lot of the girls will move out of America. And she travels around, does a lot of cool art stuff. Like she's living a great life. And I know that life is because of how well she did with her money when she
Wow.
was in the business. She also didn't take shit scenes. She also didn't take shit money. Like she knew her worth from the jump. She was a Spiegler girl. And Spiegler really brings his girls into the business a different way.
Why do
about
you
their
think
rate.
that they chose her to be on Entourage?
She
Of
just
all
had
the women out
She had
there.
the right connections. Look, Spiegler's other girl is the girl from Euphoria right now.
I just watched that episode
What is
today.
her name? I forgot.
The blonde?
Yes, I worked with her in 2019. And her name, Chloe. Chloe is her first name. But Spiegler has
Chloe Euphoria.
Spiegler has the contacts.
Chloe
with
Cherry, there she is.
Spiegler has the contacts with with Hollywood, with mainstream Hollywood, and gets his girls in great stuff. So that's how Sasha Grey got in. That's how Chloe got in.
Look at those lips, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are the top 10, apparently, richest women in porn. How does it feel to be on that list?
You know, it feels okay. I like people not to think I have really any money because they don't ask you for any. But I mean, I think there's probably other girls that are flying below the radar that people don't realize when you look at everything they do. I'll bring up Cherie DeVille. I mean, this is a girl that's working on every single platform, a girl that's always creating content, that owns most of her content. It could be ever so disturbing to know how much money she actually makes, but because she's neutral and she doesn't play the super popular, she doesn't need to be top 10, she's never been looked at that way. She's the secret millionaire on her way to billionaire.
Who's not on this list that you would say is absolutely killing the game right now? Are there a few porn stars that are like
Cherie,
Cherie?
Rain. You know that name ring a bell with you over there? Romy Rain.
Romy Rain? No.
Okay, who else? Who's killing the game right now?
You would know probably better than
Why
me.
would I know?
I think you would know. The game has really transitioned to different style seams right now. So there's a lot of people that are pulling back and shooting only their own content, like Romy. Let's see who else could.
Are
be.
you friends with Amber Lynn?
I knew her very well. Do you know her?
Well, people always
that's so
accidentally
funny, yeah.
introduce me as Amber Lynn on stage.
Holy shit.
Because you're Amber Lane.
Because I'm Amber Lane, and
That's hilarious.
so I was in New York, and I was doing.
fucked up at the same time. She's crazy.
Okay, but wait, listen.
Fucking crazy.
Give her my number.
Wait. So I was
God.
doing a comedy set about this and how so many guys are like, your name sounds familiar, right? And I was making a joke about how I tell jokes on Dick, she chokes on them, blah, blah, blah.
Fantastic. You
Right?
rock with it.
And
Embrace it.
And then how her most popular movie was The Erotic Adventures of Dick Man and Throbbing. And then a guy came up to me in the audience and he goes, actually, it's Fossil Fuckers 3, and I'll tell you how I know it. I'm her agent.
Wow.
And then he puts her on the phone with me, Amber Lynn herself.
What are the
And
odds?
she was like, you have to come on my podcast. I was like, what kind of women are
What do you
we
mean,
talking
kind
about?
Did you go on her podcast?
I
with
haven't
Christy?
yet.
So her and Christy Canyon, no, Ginger and Christy do the podcast together. Okay. Her, Amber was a big power play. I remember I had booked this MILF movie and it
What
was
does that
going to
mean,
be
power play?
I'll tell you, it was going to be Amber Lynn, Julia Ann, and like 4 other really well-known MILFs. And I remember Julia was tallest. And I remember Amber flipping out on set because nobody could be taller than her in the photos. And she wanted Julia.
That seems like a weird thing to be.
She
mad
left.
about.
She
She
left.
left.
She wouldn't even do it. She wouldn't. This was how the girls in the 90s were. Very much the power play. Like, no, you're newer than me. Like the first time I met Julia Ann was at an AVN and she came up to my booth and fucking chewed me out for using Lisa Ann.
What?
Really?
And she's like, I was only Ann before you were here. And there's another.
Who
and
said
I'm like,
this to you?
Julia Ann.
Huh.
I'm like, but it's my real fucking name.
Right.
You know, like.
Did you ever consider taking another name?
So I was Sunshine as a stripper. And they
cute.
wouldn't allow me to use Sunshine in porn. I wanted to use
Why
the name
not?
because they said it was all the girls in the 90s used their real
Oh,
name. And they
gotcha.
wanted it to seem real. I looked up, I went through the phone book and I wanted to use Rosie Colucci. I just thought Rosie Colucci was like a great name.
Colucci.
Rosie
Nice, a
Colucci
good
coming up on
Italian girl.
stage. And then in my first movie, they let everyone on set call me Rosie Colucci. And then when it came out, my real name was on it. That's kind of how it went down. So I stuck with Lisa Ann.
Hey, it's worked out well for you. You're
Really
good.
well.
Don't worry about that.
Yes. So Amber would just fight with people on set over things like that. If she didn't it had to be all about her. Do the podcast. Let me know how it goes.
Okay.
Just don't do it. Don't do it in person.
So real quick, Julianne gave you shit for using Lisa Ann, but Lisa Ann is your real name.
Yeah. I feel
fuck
it.
do you want me to do?
She hated me for about 10 years. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
She's also
not even on that list.
She's also 2 feet taller than me. You know what I mean? So I was scared
You don't want
to
that
death.
heat right
I was
there.
scared
You don't
to-
want that heat.
No.
Anyway, those are the top 10 richest women in porn,
Interesting.
and Lisa Ann is on the list, and we love her, and she's doing great. Can we talk relationships for a second?
We should.
Let's talk relationships. So,
I know.
how do you have a real? I think
How do I have a real
There's about 15
relationship?
minutes left, so let's get to the heart of the matter. So, how do you have a relationship? Like, meaning, hey, can't go on a date. Gotta, I'm at work right now. Or hey, can't have sex, honey. I got a big day tomorrow. How do you have a real relationship?
I never had a relationship while I was shooting scenes. The whole time I was with my husband, I wasn't shooting scenes. And then when I went back to shooting scenes, I just had a nice casual group of people in my life that I would see, a nice roster of guys that I would hang out with, but they all knew what I did.
You had a roster.
So just, yeah,
Respect.
You
There's so many guys out there that talk about having a roster.
A hotation.
Yeah.
A hotation.
That is so good.
Hotation.
Buy that domain right now. Okay? I'm a big
Hotation.
domain buyer. So I haven't done it. And I did just try to have my first non-porn relationship post-COVID last year. And it lasted for 6 months.
Okay.
And I knew him through other people, so I trusted him as a normal person. He had no problem with, what I do. Guys will, but the long and the short of it is, I was suspect that something wasn't right. My best friend was suspect that something wasn't right. 6 months in, I find out he's got a live-in girlfriend that he's been with for 12 fucking years.
And they're in an open relationship.
No, they are not in an open relationship. He was lying to her. So that's how I got the Cartier watch and the love bracelet.
Good for you.
Because I blackmailed him. I made him give me a large sum of cash.
Really?
And I went shopping with it, and I made him make a large donation to Planned Parenthood.
Good for you.
That is the funniest thing I've
Now-
ever heard.
Now, do you feel bad about that, or hell no?
Fuck no.
Lisa
Here
Ann.
were his choices. I found his girls' socials. And I was just, I just put on her Insta. I just found out we share a boyfriend.
You said this.
You wrote.
on her page. He steals her phone.
What?
Right?
By the way, what was she? Was she younger? Was she older? Did she do porn? Did she not do
No,
porn?
she was not in the industry.
Two regular
Regular girl.
people.
Two regular people,
Unbelievable.
both Jewish. He is
my
to marry
gosh.
Jewish. He's with this girl, but
You like
obviously,
Jewish guys?
Yeah, okay. So guys, it always happens to me this way. So yeah. So and this was my first like.
Wait, if you messaged her, then what kind of leverage did you have over?
He wanted me to delete it. He took her phone, so she thought she lost it for the period of time.
Damn.
God,
So I made
What a
him
scumbag.
sweat it for 24 hours. I mean, everyone we knew was calling, like, giving these negotiation scenarios, like, what's it going to take for you to delete that post? I'm like, I'm still thinking about it. Like, I want to know what I want.
It was a
I
post or a message
just a post on her, on her page.
on her Instagram, like on
Yeah.
a comment on her
Yeah,
picture.
yeah, yeah.
Comment.
Can you imagine not knowing anything?
Dude,
and then
Lisa
getting
Ann commented on my picture.
like,
Oh, my
So,
boyfriend's cheating on me.
I let him sweat it that whole first night. And then the next
Wow.
morning with his business partner and everybody, I'm like, all right, listen, this is how much
the
cash.
business partner was weighing in.
Yeah, because he was the one that wanted to give me cash because he felt that if I went public with this story, it would hurt their mutual businesses together because I have
Wow.
such girl power in New York City. Wow. And this would give me a bad look, right? And you know what? I've kept a good rapport with him because I got everything I wanted out of it, and I still do get to eat for free at his restaurants. And every once in a while, I want pizza from one of his restaurants that's too far to deliver to my place, and I
Yeah.
make him put it in a fucking Uber and have
That's
the pizza
right.
brought to
Trying to
me.
piece it together.
He
You got
owes
this
me
left.
forever. There's no reason to lie to somebody for 6 months. None.
6 months.
Amazing.
How'd he get away with it?
Now, have you
You
ever?
never went
How
to his
did he
place?
get away with it?
And you know what? I see. This was my first civilian dating experience out of porn after COVID.
that's how we got
My
away with it.
girlfriends taught me after, like, you've got to go to their place.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to see how they live. It's
Hold on,
just
for 6 months you didn't go to his place?
no, because you know what? I love my apartment, and I'd rather have somebody.
Lisa, that's red flag right there.
You're asking for it.
Lisa,
like,
you're
I don't-
brilliant, you're
I
smart,
don't
you're
wanna leave.
opinionated. How the hell do you not go there?
I don't want to honestly sleep over, and I don't want to leave in the city at 2:00 in the morning. It's not safe. Like, I was being lazy. I know this now.
Lisa, you're my dream girl.
I was in my comfort zone. But like the
Gotcha.
red flags were there, but I wasn't paying attention. And we like would just lay on the couch, drink cocktails, and watch Chopped. Like it was a great relationship to me. It was
At your
all
house.
at my house. And he was busy.
Where you were comfortable.
Little did I know he was busy in another relationship. But the funny thing was, he has the least amount of game of any guy I've ever dated. And
Lisa
so
Ann, how
when
much-
everyone found out that I was dating him, that we had kept it a secret from all of our mutual friends, like 30 people that know, they're like, what made you choose him? I'm like, because I just felt like he had no game and that he would probably like never cheat on me. So it'd be like, and they're like, well, do you
It's
think he
always
has
the guys with no
do you think he has
game.
game now? I'm like, I was his fucking side piece. Yes, he has
Wait,
game.
but if you had all these mutual friends, nobody told them.
So-
told
Wait a
you
minute,
that
yeah.
I didn't tell any of them because I didn't want things to be awkward.
Oh God.
I don't like people in my
It's the
personal
perfect
business.
Lisa.
It's the perfect storm.
I know.
And the fact that you never went to his place in 6 months.
What was he thinking that you would never? He never even had to come up with an excuse.
No, he knew
He'll
the
deal with
entire
that
time.
at the time.
The
That's
time
something you deal with
so
later.
what my
He
people
knew.
say is it was a ticking time bomb
Yeah,
for
he
him. He
knew.
was just riding the ride until he could, right?
Lisa, was he a wealthy guy or good-looking guy?
Wealthy, good-looking guy.
A little bit of both. He's wealthy, successful, but he's a worker. He's not like second generation money. He's first
Yeah.
generation money, which is important. But I will say this: when I went into Cartier with the cash, it was the best experience ever because we told everybody at Cartier. Actually, one of his partners took me. We go in, and I'm like, I'm gonna have this Cartier experience. We dump out these duffel bags of cash, and they're sitting there with their masks on and their gloves, and I'm like videoing this, and they're all just counting. I'm like, so here's how this goes down.
Like a mafia boss right here.
Okay. And now I'm on the come up. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a great come up.
When is the movie being written about your life? That's
it's
what I want to
happening.
know.
Well,
I
there's a
just
book
see
right
her
now.
with her little journal interviewing.
Played
the
by
adult-
J-Lo.
Played by J-Lo,
Unbelievable.
of course.
You're around athletes. You talk about fantasy
Yep.
sports and
Yep.
betting. David, I got a list of athletes
Yeah.
I'd like you to pull up.
Oh, this is gonna be great.
So, what's the most starstruck you've ever been? A celebrity, athlete?
LeBron
who?
James at Live.
Oh, wow. Sunday night at Live.
Yes.
Yep.
And it was the night before
I was there that night.
it was the night before they made the announcement that they were going to be all playing together.
Yep.
Oh my God, that night, because I just read like 3 back-to-back LeBron books. I totally fanned out, and the security guard came over. Kim K was there that night
Scroll
too.
all the way down. Yep.
Security guard came over and he's like, hey, do you want to meet LeBron? And I fanned
Wow.
out so hard. Like I was just like because I mean the decision.
So did he.
I mean, I was on the road and he didn't, because he didn't know who I was. He didn't care. It was loud. You really can't hear. He was smoking a stogie. He leaned down to say hi. But I remember being at a gig feature dancing, and I told the club owner, like, I'm not doing any of my shows until LeBron makes his decision at the boys club. Like, you gotta understand, like, I'm not going on stage. This is like life changing.
Wow.
So it was LeBron.
That's how big of a sports fan
It was
you are.
LeBron for me.
Well, you're
yeah.
a Philly fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no Philly teams.
No Philly teams.
Dallas Cowboys. New York Mets. And with basketball, I just couldn't watch a game every night of the week. I love fantasy basketball, so I just follow players more. And since they shift teams so often, James Harden's now going to be like, he's like the runaway bride.
Yep.
It's another team, you know?
So LeBron is the most you've ever been starstruck or fangirl.
For sure.
Now, we're going to play a game right now. You've heard of Hot or Not, but this is going to be bang or not. We couldn't think of a different word. We couldn't think of a different word. So
And
let's
this
just start.
picture is going to be Tom and Giselle, right?
Real quick. LeBron, bang or not?
He's married, so I would never even consider it.
So if let's say he wasn't married.
Let's say he got in a relationship with you for 6 months.
Yo, that's low.
That's fucked up,
Are
David.
you going to contribute to
David.
Cartier for me?
David,
That was
get ready to
dramatic.
pay.
Donation to Baron.
Well, let's go through this because
Yes.
we do want to get to a rapid fire round. So let's just scroll down. We got 10 names that we want to get to.
I don't mess with anybody that's married or in a
Okay,
relationship,
gotcha.
Unless they
Well,
lie.
let's just pretend they're not married. Go
Okay,
to the
they're
first
all
picture.
single?
They're all single.
Okay.
David,
Oh, sorry.
number 1 is Tom Brady.
Can I have her too? Like
Yes.
I want the
Yes.
2-pack. Yes, boom,
Double pack.
bam, double
Bang.
bang.
Tom Brady, Giselle. Go for it. Number 2, David Beckham.
I mean, yeah, him and his wife as well.
2-pack.
Boom.
2-pack.
Bang.
2-pack. A-Rod.
Hell fucking no.
Wow, no A-Rod. Why no A-Rod?
Because he's just a pain in the ass. He's an annoying person. I'm so glad they broke up. I'm so glad she's living her best life and he's just still
Yeah.
single. He's just fake. He's just annoying. And he's actually part of the reason why dudes do better. My new podcast was an Inception. It was on the same time as Watch Cartier Guy. They broke up and he was texting me, asking me to introduce him to a girl that I know with all of these qualifications. Like, I'm some fucking dating service. Like, I've
hell
got
outta here,
time
guy.
to be like, can you, tall, intelligent, nice woman. Like, oh my God, no. You lost
Get
your
out of
way, you
here.
lost
So
all.
A-Rod, you're done. So,
Never. But J-Lo, yeah.
But J-Lo, yes.
Bang.
By the way, are you more into guys than women or women to guys?
More into guys, but if it's a pairing, you know, like the Brady's or,
hello.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you
Let's
can't.
get Tom
say yes
Brady
to
on the
the
phone.
Brady's.
Yeah. Okay, next. Who's next? Next, we got Steph Curry.
I love his family so much, and him and his wife do these cooking things. I can't even get past it, so I'm
Okay.
going to say no.
No, sorry, Steph. You got a great shot, but no shot with Lisa.
Yeah,
Keep
that
moving.
3-point shot he has.
Andy Roddick, married to a supermodel.
He is, and they're both beautiful, so I'm taking them both again.
Taking them both.
Double
Bang,
tap, bang,
Let's
bang.
go. Bang, bang. We got Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh,
I mean, hello.
Bang. Also, his girlfriend's
bang.
really hot.
If you had a type,
Bang, bang.
would
Or his
Ronaldo
wife.
be your type? Do you have a specific type?
I have not yet figured out my type. Since
After all this time, Lisa?
No. Look, I've only been married once.
Yes.
The
gives me
6-month
hope.
relationship
Yeah.
is the only exclusive relationship outside of my marriage I've had.
Okay.
I had a 10-year thing going on that was just like an open relationship where we weren't exclusive, but that just got all like I just don't, and they would all be ranged very differently.
Wow.
So I
So
don't,
you
have,
don't
a
have a
type
type.
yet.
By
I
the
should
way,
figure this out, right?
If you'd like to. But
Okay.
yes, I mean, I feel
Were
like
those
you're a
open
lot of people's
relationships
type. though.
polyamorous, or were they just physical?
We physical. It was like a good friendship where you hook up as well, but you don't ask each other what you're doing on the off time. But you will like do things like test before you see each other. Otherwise, there's a condom involved. Like I'm a stickler with that. Like, hey, if you're gonna do your own thing, that's cool. But if we're gonna have a weekend together on vacation, let's both go get an STD test, and then we can have sex without a condom. If not, let's
Lisa, do you have any idea? I was on a podcast, So Were You, Fresh and Fit, and they ask every girl, what's your body count?
That's disgusting.
Pretty graphic question.
Come on, man.
Oh, someone asked Adele that on a live, and
Yes.
she didn't know what it meant, and she
Oh,
was
I saw
so,
that.
That broke my heart for her. How could you ask Adele that? You know what I mean?
Because she thought it was like a fat thing, probably.
Yeah, and you know what?
It's your body
I see
count.
things happen on social media that just I break inside because I've taken all this abuse, right?
Right.
Because you're a porn star, the whole world abuses you. So but you don't want it for other people,
Right.
Like
Got
I'd
it.
rather somebody
Poor
say that to me
Adele.
than Adele.
So take one for Adele. What do you have an idea of what your number
I
is?
do not.
Okay,
I do
it's probably
not.
2 or 3 or maybe
it's-
more. But
when people ask, I say between 3,000 and 5,000 because there was an era of ecstasy where there was a lot of group sex, but it's highly exaggerated. But it's just to be funny.
it's funny. You do have a sense of humor. Cristiano Ronaldo, everyone's gonna bang that
Yeah.
guy. Let's
I'm
keep it
banging that
moving. Russell Wilson and Ciara.
Yeah, because I'm taking both of them. I mean, she's way hotter.
Yeah, she is way hotter.
But look at him going to the Commanders. I don't know how I feel about that. That stadium is a shit show.
Commanders, though. That's a new Washington
football
the
team.
Redskins.
Oh, that's what they changed their name to?
Yes. Okay, so she'll
feel
take
like that's not
Sierra
much
over. No.
Still feels a bit
No,
racist.
their fans are commies. Like they're gonna call their fans commies.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's
exactly.
worse.
In DC.
That's
Most
worse.
liberal city in America. Number 8, we have this gentleman, Leonardo Bonucci.
Bonucci, center back for-
Italiano.
You know what? I'm not very familiar with him, but I'm doing him because he's Italian.
Yeah,
I know
gotcha.
he's a lover.
He's a great
Now-
center.
Now, Italians, they're known for not snipping the
back.
tip. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't mind that at all.
Okay,
Yeah.
Hooded Knights?
Yeah, doesn't bother
Okay,
me
here
either
we
way.
go.
I'll take it. Mm-hmm.
No? Amber's Jewish. I don't like that
You've
at all.
seen my bit about that.
I understand
that
it's
at
not for when you go to Europe to shoot in the industry, you really face it. You quickly you start you realize like, oh, this is an American thing. And then I'll tell you there's a different level of satisfaction as a woman because you do get to see it grow more. So there's
So
a
cute.
there's a factor of their like, it's not just there. It's like you've got to do a little bit of work. And I like that.
Surprise!
Yeah.
Number
You gotta
9,
do a
David.
little bit more.
Yeah, a little more work. Now we got
Dwayne.
The Rock.
Dwayne the
Not
the
married,
Rock.
by the way. Not
Who
married.
wouldn't? Who
Really?
wouldn't? The Rock. He's a monster.
Do you think that guy's packing?
I don't. Usually bigger
Really?
guys are not.
I'm with her.
And
You think
especially-
bigger guys are not
And
packing?
especially if
Usually.
you've done any sort of roids or anything like that,
Adam,
that
you
seems
seem-
strength.
You seem-
Also, the backdrop is so big, right? The backdrop is so big that it's going to look smaller.
Hey, listen, I got something for him. If you'd like to get some Manscaped to
But
look
you
a little
agree
bit
with
bigger,
me, right?
Dwayne.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wow. So what about little guy? Do you think little guys are, like,
You know what? Sometimes with a dick on a stick, you're not expecting.
dick on a stick.
Yep.
David, that's your new nickname.
Lisa Ann.
Dick on a
Kickstand.
stick.
You
All
got a
right, and number
kickstand.
10, final person on this list is Carrot Top. Not Carrot Top, sorry.
You know what? I'm going to
It's
pass.
Sean White.
Don't do that.
The Flying Carrot. I apologize. Not Carrot. Sean White.
He just retired. I'm going to pass. I should
You're
say
gonna
no
pass.
to at least
You're
one
not
of these
into
guys.
gingers? You're not into gingers?
I'm not judging the ginger thing.
Yeah.
He's just not my type.
Okay, who's not on this list that you said you forgot about blank? And I'd love to blank.
Man, I used to look at Dwight Howard's arms at the free throw line and just
Dude,
be
right?
like, this is masturbation material. Those
God,
the
it's
glistening
jacked.
of his skin as well. His shoulders, he would just be able to please I would be like, please dribble just a couple more. I just need you to dribble a couple.
Can't dribble so good, though.
Yeah,
Can
and he
dunk.
also can't really make a free throw, but yeah,
No.
and he also has a very beautiful smile.
Yeah.
That smile.
So
is
Dwight
just-
Howard, that's your guy, if you could.
It's not really my guy, but I mean, like,
I
wouldn't-
do
I
think
wouldn't
he's
throw him out of
got
bed.
like
So
9
small.
kids from 8 baby mamas.
Easily, I'm sure, and he can't remember
You're
all the
familiar with
names.
this,
Like Antonio
yeah.
Cromartie. Remember, he was asked
Yes.
on like, and he
I
was
got
like, I can't
Antonio Jr. and
remember. Yeah,
Antonio.
guy could not remember
He
the name.
couldn't remember?
He was on an interview for like Hard Knocks or something, and they started asking. He could not remember the name of all of his children.
Okay, so speaking of NBA guys, this is a
Sarah
perfect
Palin would get
segue.
along.
There's an NBA
his
player.
shoulders though. Look at the. You would touch him. Don't you want to touch him? Don't you want to touch his shoulders?
I'm good. I think I'm going to pass on that.
Yeah.
But you ladies,
Amber's like,
It's just his head is so small. In comparison.
anyway, so that is Bang or Not featuring Lisa Ann.
Great
Mazel
segment.
tov. So you said in an interview, speaking of NBA players, that quote unquote 95% of NBA players have faced blackmail. That girls out there are trying to get leverage with the NBA guys and all athletes. So let's expose these women. So why are they doing this? How are they operating? What are they trying to do? These females.
It's really a come up, and where it gets tricky is when the girl knows that the guy is married and that he's definitely going to try and hide this interaction. Little things will happen, like girls will take photos of everything in the guy's wallet while he's in the shower, and then they'll blackmail him with it.
Damn.
Girls, like when I meet young players, the first talk I have with them is like, yo, I don't care if you hook up with girls, because the NBA will have an assistant bring condoms to the room whenever they want them.
Have you ever had an
But
experience with an NBA player?
I may or may not have.
Okay.
Many. But I will say,
LeBron James at Live.
I
that
always say
night.
to them, put your stuff in the safe.
Yeah.
Put everything you have that's valuable in the safe. Because I would hear girls on set talk about stuff they stole from players, IDs that they had. And Kobe went through that, and Kobe, rest in peace. Kobe went through that situation in Denver, and then later hired an assistant who handled everything for him. And it made Kobe so paranoid that any interactions he had with people, he wanted to have their phone, just talking to people. And that's a lesson to learn. It's the hustle, and the girls will just try and go for that quick cash. And the easiest way to get the girl the cash would just be to find out if she owed the IRS money, because then their agent could pay the IRS directly. Like, then the girl doesn't get the money. She gets her IRS debt, paid off. The girl doesn't like that, but the guy doesn't like it either. But it's a very common thing. But these guys are kind of dumb because they pick like the tricks. Like, was it smart for Deshaun Watson to hire massage therapists from IG? Probably not.
Yeah. Now he's got canceled.
She doesn't need to have a big booty to give you a massage.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So like that was he's going to court tomorrow. Tomorrow's the grand jury.
Well, he had massages by more than one woman, Lisa.
20-some women.
Exactly.
But do you know how many of them backed out of that case when they had to give their name?
How many?
Like 20.
But why is he going to court for it?
Because they're saying that he sexually harassed them. And this is allegations at this point. But he couldn't play football all year last year. He's been canceled. He had businesses he had to close, restaurants in Houston. Also, you'll never get an endorsement deal again, even if you're exonerated.
He's been literally canceled.
It was during COVID when he couldn't get a massage from the team doctor. But the messages went back and forth, and in a lot of these situations, these women saw him multiple times. Like, it's not good. Mm-hmm. He fucked up by going about it the way that he went about it, but yet I think there was a lot of playing both ways, and I think it's destroying his life.
Gotcha. Now there's an NBA player. Speaking of NBA players, pull up this article right here. There's a guy called PJ Washington. If you're familiar with this, so basically here's a story. This happened, I want to say, 6 months ago, give or take. But she's been all over. There's a girl called Brittany Renner. You familiar with this girl?
Yes.
Attractive black girl.
Very attractive.
And she divorced NBA player PJ Washington 2 weeks after having his baby, and is now forcing him to pay $200K a month in child support. How do you explain a situation like this? How would you process this? And by the way, scroll down so you get a look at him and her booty.
Okay, but let's talk about the fact that he is earning this kind of money and nobody in his camp had him protected. Mm-hmm. Nobody had him do a prenup. Nobody had him plan for the demise of such potential situation. And also, how did he meet her? He met her because he thought she was hot on IG. He'd probably seen her at other games with other guys, what have you. He's just as much to blame for not protecting his assets. Like, yo, what are you thinking? Now, when he's done playing in the NBA, he can go back to court and have this number adjusted. So this number will be the number that he plays as long as he's on this salary for his contract.
On what grounds can you get that much money?
Because of how much money he makes.
Yeah.
It's just about how much money he makes. Has nothing to do with her, nothing to do with what he did to her. So when he makes less money, like when NFL players retire, the first thing they do is go back to court to readjust all the child support. And what's amazing is these women that had been getting $50,000 to $100,000 a month that never saved any of it. So now the judge is like, okay, well, you should be fine. For 8 years, you were getting 100, this girl 200. You should be fine. And then the girl's like, I'm gonna have to give up custody to him because I can't afford to have a kid. Like, it's really, it's a cycle that's awful.
Right.
Total. But don't you agree? You're a guy making that kind of money. How could your camp not make you get a prenuptial, or at least sign some documentation to protect?
It's a rookie move.
Well said.
It's a rookie move. Yeah. Anyway, we got probably maybe 10 minutes left. I tried to wrap it up by 7 today, but I know I say that every time. But when you got Lisa Ann in the studio, you don't just let her go. Let's do a rapid fire. I have a few questions, then I want Amber to ask you a few questions that I think. So let's just get to the. These are funnier questions. Rapid fire. Here we go. The classic. Does size matter, or is it more about motion in the ocean?
The motion in the ocean thing is really silly because it's really about the guy, the connection, the intimacy, the trust, the feeling. It's not about either. Women focus so little on the penis in general. We just want you to be a good dude because you can be with a dude that's smaller, not even that hot, but the connection was so good, the intimacy is so good. So, size is great for when you're in that situation because then you get the paycheck, but.
Ooh, size of the paycheck.
Motion in the ocean is such a weird way to say it.
Size of the wallet is more important than size of the penis.
I would say so in today's world.
There it is, in today's world. How long should sex last for, on average?
For civilians, like untrained
civilians and uncivilians.
For mortals.
Civilians and mortals.
For mortals.
I asked my civilian friends this. I think it usually, they say an average of 10 minutes, but maybe like a little bit more. If it's like a vacation, maybe 20 minutes. If there have been some the guy takes the blue pill, what have you. If there's some Viagra, maybe longer. But is it like 10 minutes, right? Because on set, we're used to 45.
You're asking the average or how long it should be?
How long should it be?
Amber.
Amber.
Love. I know that my mom is watching, but
Pretend you're Amber Lynn for a second.
Hi, Mom.
not
Amber Lynn is speaking, not
Yes.
your daughter.
Yes.
I would like from foreplay to finish like 40 minutes.
That would be
40
fantastic.
minutes.
That's ideal, right?
David, do you have that kind of
Minutes.
time?
I got shit to do. What are you talking about? I see. Cut down the middle.
what's-
20
What's
No, because she's asking for a nice bit of foreplay. as
every
well.
time.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Oh wait, no. Listen, 40 minutes every time,
Yeah.
babes. We got
It's aggressive. We got to move. Anyway, keeping it moving because this is rapid fire. And, you know, it's a quickie.
Wait, then my turn. Go back.
Okay,
and
we're
forth.
gonna get there. Hold on, we're gonna get there, Amber. For the right. Okay. By the way, what's the most amount you've ever made for one scene?
Oh, I don't really want to answer
Yeah.
that.
Okay,
A lot.
a lot.
Yeah.
More than 6 figures?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. For the right price, is there anything that is off limits?
I don't like choking, violent scenes, graphic stuff that I don't do in my real life. I don't want to be somebody's stepmom or real mom. I don't want to get into the incestual shit for any amount of money. So I guess that answers that. Everything else is fine.
Why are all these women getting stuck in the washing machine?
Is this real?
No, this in porn. No, you're not familiar with the washing machine situation.
Oh, I know. It's disgraceful, right?
I'm
It's
stuck in the washing machine.
and the toilet. Oh,
I haven't seen
in the
that one.
toilet.
Okay.
swirlies.
Oh my god.
Couple more, and then Amber's got a couple questions for you. Let's play a game. You ever played Marry, Fuck, Kill?
Yes.
We're gonna play Marry, Fuck, Kill.
Okay.
What's that? What's that look? Marry, Fuck, Kill.
Oh, we just did a version of that.
Yeah, it's true.
No,
Marry,
she
Fuck,
didn't kill anyone.
No. Marry, Fuck, Kill. Eminem, Drake, Kanye.
Oh, fuck. You really threw me. Because, I mean, I would have killed Drake, even though I love his music. I hate how he is at NBA games because it's just so annoying that he just yells at players and it fucking irks me so bad.
He's like a coach.
And he's like a gnome. He shows up at every event
Yeah.
you want to be at and has the best fucking seats ever, so you
Well,
hate him.
yeah.
What a dick.
But I'll marry Drake and I'll tell you why. No. Yeah, I'll marry Drake and I'll tell you why. Because he spent like $860 million to have his house taken off of Google Maps, which I thought was amazing. They had to undig all of his wires. I thought that was amazing. So
That's how much it costs.
That seems like an aggressive amount of
marry,
money.
you can look that up.
He
Marry.
didn't negotiate.
So you're marrying Drake.
I'm fucking Eminem only
Yep.
because we did the music bed,
Yes.
video together. We were in bed together. And I just don't think that he's the type of person that really wants somebody around all the time. So that's where the
Yeah.
marriage thing. And I'm straight up murdering Kanye. And I'm doing it to
Yes.
to protect Kim and all
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
drama that's going to be going on. He has gone over and now he's buddied up with Antonio Brown, and they're even
Yeah.
Yes.
talking enough shit that they could buy the Denver Broncos. Like,
Dude, weird.
both of you two walk it off.
Walk it off.
Walk it off,
So
bro.
you're marrying Drake.
Yeah.
You're banging Eminem because of the close relationship that you've had.
Yeah, and I
literally
don't-
in bed on the
I don't
music
want to
video.
pressure him about a relationship, because
Okay.
if I marry Drake, I don't have to sex with him. Most married couples don't have
It's true.
sex anymore once they get married anyway.
Got it. And then you're just gonna straight up.
I'm gonna
kill
go to all the
Kanye.
games.
You're gonna kill
I'm gonna
Kanye.
go to all the games.
Yeah, that's
Drake.
how-
That's
so-
see.
So
Great
you're,
seats.
you're on team Pete or team Kim, not team Kanye.
I don't love Kim because I don't like the falsehood of her actually saying this sex tape was leaked. She got $5 million for it.
Yeah.
It launched her career. Like,
Her
let's
mom put
stop
that shit
fucking
out there.
playing
Come on,
games
let's
with
not- let's-
people.
yeah, exactly.
It's against the law in the United States after the Pam Anderson
Yep.
movie was leaked to do anything like that. So there's
Yeah.
that.
Kris Jenner probably
I just
did that.
don't like this kind of drama around the kids and all of that, right? I
Yeah.
just don't. From what I hear, I've never met Pete Davidson, but everybody says he's just like the nicest person. He's so easygoing, and I'm happy for her
Okay.
that she's got somebody lighthearted and fun around her right now. But I'd like the drama to stop. Him burying him in a music video.
Yeah,
like,
weird.
Kanye
Yeah.
is getting weird.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now there was a rumor out there that you had one point dated a Kardashian.
So Rob Kardashian and I became friends
Oh.
working out together at Equinox. This was
You
back
got
when he was
excited.
super cute and
Yeah.
young, and you thought there was some
And
lesbian.
quirky.
You
Super
thought there
quirky.
was some.
She's hot enough. You said it.
Sure,
That
sure.
was Kendall.
But and we hung out multiple times. But when he was asked if we were hanging out, he absolutely lied about it because his sister told him that Kim said you
Oh.
can't hang out with her. And then I was like, you know what, buddy, I'm sorry, fuck you, you're dead to me. So we don't talk anymore.
So Kanye
lot of people
and
said that to him.
Rob dead to you.
Yeah.
A few minutes left. Amber has some rapid fire questions that she wanted to ask you.
Oh, you're done with this segment?
Would you like me to continue?
No, it's Amber's turn.
Fuck my kill.
I
Adam,
just thought it
I
Me
can't
or Amber?
believe you get the Amber Lynn thing. That's so crazy, but I get
funny?
it.
I get it all the
And you
time.
look like her when she was super young.
Oh no.
When she was like 18, she was
Congratulations,
beautiful.
Just a little less hair and a little less.
She was
What
beautiful.
does Amber Lynn look like?
She was tiny
yeah.
back then. Find old photos. All right, so what do you got for me, love?
We talked about your body count. What's your love count?
Oh, that's a great
Amber.
question. I would say 2. And maybe only 1. I definitely loved my husband. I loved being married. I loved cooking for him and doting over him. I
gotta be
baked
careful.
every fucking night. Cookies.
That's her now.
That's her now.
Okay.
Yeah. And I loved the companionship we had. We had rollerblades, we had bikes, we lived in Boca Raton for a year. So we did everything outside, went to the beach every day. And then the other one, I'm still not sure. Like I felt the most connection I ever felt with him, but then at the same time I felt like he was kind of using me. So it's 1, maybe 2. That's it.
Okay. What was your diva moment of like ever that you walked off? Like an Amber Lynn moment where you were like, I'm not having this. I feel disrespected. Done. Bye.
Oh my God, there's been so many. I used to show up on the road, and there was a club here in Florida, and I remember I would do this. I would go to the club, they'd pick me up at the airport, they'd show me the club, they'd show me the hotel, and then I'd decide if I was going to stay. And I wouldn't tell anybody because I had enough money saved I could buy a ticket and just fucking leave.
Hell yeah.
And there was a club here in Florida, and the dressing room was a trailer, like in the back parking lot of the club, that anybody could have just put on their truck and gone away with me, and I left. Lots of diva moments for me. I've left many locations. Like, I'm not going to fight with you about it. I'm just going to leave, and won't answer my phone for a couple of days. You'll figure out I'm gone.
But never like a man disrespecting you in a scene or like making you feel unsafe.
Well, one of the reasons I had the meltdown that I left the industry in '97 was the producer had switched my male talent. And it was 2 guys that came in from Brazil, and they didn't have American test yet. And I remember my car was parked in. We were shooting in Malibu. I was living in Huntington Beach, just quite a drive. And we got in this huge fight about it, and they wouldn't let anybody move their cars to let me out. So I packed up my shit and walked to a gas station. At that time, used a payphone. So it was like 95, 96. And ironically, one of those guys his American test did come back positive. for
Damn,
HIV.
thank God you got out of there. Lisa.
And they
Damn.
blocked your car?
That's the
Well, I
scariest
was parked
part.
in because, when you're a female talent, you arrive first with the makeup artist.
Right.
And you're usually there the longest. After that, I never parked in the drive again because I was so afraid to get blocked in. And as for a guy in my personal life, I haven't really had any storm off moments. Like if it's somebody I'm spending time with, I will always be logical. Even if I know we're not going to see each other anymore, I can't make a scene. I can't end a poor look. I still talk to fucking Kanye guy.
Because he bought you some shit.
And made a nice
You have
donation.
one more for it?
One more.
They made a
Okay.
nice relationship.
With the emergence of like pole dancing classes and how much this is becoming more commercial and just accepted by society in general, do you have any little bit of resentment, or is it all like for what you had to go through at that time and society judging you, and now it's like so much cooler and it's like branded differently, or do you feel a little like, or are you just happy to see like people's minds expanding about this?
I feel like fuck you all. I was a trailblazer. I'm stoked for you. You can enjoy it, but I did it first.
There we go.
And I wasn't. I didn't need everybody's approval, but it makes me so happy. I meet so many young girls now that their parents approve of what they're doing, and my parents, of course, never did. So I'm always like, oh, that's so cool, man. I'm so glad your parents are rocking with you right now, and because they're less likely to turn to drugs. They're less likely to waste their money. They have their parents that are kind of watching what they're doing, and so I feel so good about that. So I don't have any resentment. I just have excitement about it, and I also look back and realize that I'm glad I did all of the things that I did because I think it makes it easier for every other woman after me.
You walk so they could run.
Thank you, David.
The dick on the stick just throws in
Dick
his
on a
2
stick.
cents.
There, I got my dick on a stick. Respect to you. Wrapping this up, I've noticed that you use the hashtag dudes do better
Yes.
quite often.
It's a podcast.
Okay, well,
I own the
that's-
domain as well.
Okay, so dudes
Also,
do better.
I think it's dudes, comma, do better.
No, it's dudes. Do better.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you mean by that?
Not like
And how
dudes do
can
it better.
dudes do better?
Okay, first of all, stop being fucking creepy on the internet.
Come on, honestly.
Okay, if you are on Twitter and you ask me out, I always write back, I'm sorry, you must have your apps mixed up because this isn't a dating app, this is Twitter. Like, stop thinking that you're in a vacuum and that you're one dude. You're one of 1,000 dudes that had to say to me, oh, I gotta shoot my shot. I've become a backword, and all day it's the fucking shots in my face and I hate it. And I'm never fucking dating some troll from fucking Twitter. So there's that. have some manners, like in New York, it's interesting because when you go on a date with a guy, you know what type of guy he is if he walks on the outside where the street is, right? That's the right thing for the dude to do. Like,
dudes do better. Women on the inside, guys on the outside.
one of the things I've prided myself in is leaving dates and leaving them
getting
at the
better at
fucking
that.
table. Like, while it's happening. Like, I'm not even going to finish this shit out. I'm going to excuse myself and tell you I'm going to the bathroom and you're never going to fucking see me again.
Boom,
Yeah.
ghost,
It's
Irish
so hard.
goodbye, peace.
And I
Lisa Ann
walked
out.
home from a date because a guy didn't hold the door open for me. And I was just like, it sounds so old fashioned, but it's important. And dudes just need to understand that communication is so important to women and the way they come about the approach. Just stop being so creepy. When did the internet amplify your creepiness?
Well,
That's
started
how
with
we're
these two
so
guys,
different.
Fresh and Fit, over in Miami. They have a podcast where it's like anti everything you're saying.
Oh man.
That's not
Shut up.
necessarily
I
true.
will find them and hunt them down. And
Well, here's what we
I
are
would love
going
to
to
see that.
do. We're going to invite
Couple
Fresh and
idiots.
Fit and Lisa Ann, and we're going to do another podcast
Oh my
together.
God.
so what are they motivating young people to be
they're
obnoxious?
essentially
You
like,
would
I pay
lose
the
your
bills
mind.
and you need to have sex with me. That's all I ask.
That's not necessarily
I can
true.
literally pull up the clip.
They believe in male self-improvement. We can revisit.
No,
this.
they don't.
That's what they do believe.
Are
Let's
they
pull
on-
up the clip, but
are
they're
they-
like-
are they on YouTube? Because I will watch
Yeah,
all of
I'll
their
send
shit
you
on my
links.
flight
I'll
home.
send you a
And
link.
then I will send you, and then I want to follow up message with you because
Okay.
I went through it with them. But
Oh, this is
But
Yeah.
anyway, bottom line, dudes, do better.
Do better.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're now rounding out the show. I think we've had a fucking amazing show with the legendary Lisa Ann today. She's smarter, wiser, sexier, cooler, funnier than we all ever even imagined.
honestly, watching you do your
Yes.
thing is so inspiring.
It's-
I'm like, I need to know what your reading list is. That's
Yeah.
what I want to
Ooh,
know.
okay, we'll
Like,
do
There
my
it is.
book club
There it is.
together.
Lisa, if you would kind of give us your final 2 cents, tell us about the book, tell us where we should find you. The mic is yours, Lisa Ann.
Right here, The Life Back, my second book. You can get it at my store, shoplisaann.com, or very easily on Amazon. This is going to give you a little breakdown of what it was like when I went back into the business, when I discovered minimalism, and how I let go a lot of negative things from my life and really found myself. So it's really a heart-pacing beginning. Then it takes you to somewhere beautiful. You can follow me at The Real Lisa Ann, all platforms verified, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Don't be creepy. Hitting on me on social media is like not saving your money. It's going to get you fucking nowhere. So save your money and don't hit on me.
I can't finish it better than
I
that.
know.
If Lisa Ann says to save that money, you better save that money. Lisa, you are a goddess in real life. Everybody clap it up for Lisa. We appreciate you being here. Follow The Real Lisa Ann and always save that money. There it is. We'll see you next time.
Boom. We're off. Lisa, you are so well spoken. So articulate.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Great show. Oh my God.